All right, everybody, welcome back to the Meet the Bus podcast. This is episode 6, and I am your host, Jeffrey Reckes, and today we got a very special guest on. I'm very excited for this one. Today, we're going to get right to it. I've kind of gotten fancy in the last couple intros, trying to be the bit guy. I got it really smooth in Dylan's episode, which, by the way, if you have not gone and seen episode 4, please go check that out. It was an incredible episode. And then I had the last week's episode with my guy, Austin Berry. Incredible episode. Please go check that out. But I was getting a little fancy in the intros. You know what I'm saying? I pulled one off in Dylan's episode. I was like, let me come back and try to get fancy for another one. We're getting straight to business today. We're getting to who we got on the show. I'm excited for this one. My guy I got on the show today, he marched Guardians in 2018. He marched Blue Knights with me in 2019. Shout out third trumpet section. He marched Carolina Crown in 2022. And finally, he was a Blue Devils lead trumpet soloist in 2023. He is a senior at Baylor University and an unfortunate Falcons fan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on Joey Teixeira. Welcome on the show, brother.
Bro, how are you going to end with like the Falcons quote? Come on now.
Bro, because, dude. It's because of the game. It's because of the 25-point comeback. I had to do it to him.
I knew it was coming. I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
What's been going on, man?
Dude, I'm chilling. School's crazy. As per usual. I only have one more year left. So I'm technically a senior, but I have an extra semester to do next fall. So I major next semester.
What's your major? What are you majoring in?
I study political science.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm doing a pre-law route with that too. So I plan on going to law school once I graduate. No idea where. Not even thinking about that. That's in the future. I gotta pass my classes first, bro.
We gotta lock in. We gotta lock into the books. We gotta lock into school. As we were talking about before, though, just real quick, I just gotta get this in. We were talking about fantasy football before we started this episode. We were talking a bunch before this started, and I just need your opinion real quick as an unfortunate Falcons fan. Do I start Bijan this weekend against the Texans? But the thing, and why I say this though is because my guy has gotten 100+ yards on the ground 3 times last 3 weekends, and I'm like, that's great, but they're not letting him get in the end zone, and Desmond Ridder sucks. So I'm just like, do I start my boy? Do I let him go again this weekend against the Texans defense because they're sneaky? They're sneaky this year.
Dude, why wouldn't you? Who are you going to start in place of him? Like Sugar Hubbard?
My running back room's kind of nice, though. I'm not going to lie. My running back room's nice. I got Pacheco. I got Robinson, who I traded for. I didn't even draft the dude. I traded for him.
Dude, I traded Bijan for Nick Chubb before the injury.
I'm not
Dude,
I'm so sorry. The injury isn't funny, but holy shit, the situation. Oh my God. RIP. That was like one of the nastiest things I've ever seen in my life, by the way. Can we talk about that real quick? Because that was just like one of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, it was bad. When I saw it, I was in the library studying with my friends, studying. We were just like watching football. Really. And like we saw it and we're like, dude, that's nasty. But I was like, I'm gonna say it. I think his injury is not going to be as bad as it seems. Not as bad as we thought it was, which happened. He only tore his MCL, and I think his ACL needs a little bit of reconstruction. But
this is going to be the third major knee surgery for my guy, though. Like one in college, one in the pros, and this is the third one.
Yeah.
And did you see the angle that they just came in and the whole thing just...
Dude, and then like after it just like flopped back into place, I was like, oh. But like I watch a lot of UFC, so I've seen like Anderson Silva's injury.
That was like the nastiest thing.
Conor McGregor. So like, dude, like I've seen that before, but like it just sucks to see that happen on a football field, bro. Especially to someone so talented.
Oh, dude, and it was like if he was gonna be in all year with Deshaun Watson. They gave him all the guarantee money. They got to rock with Deshaun Watson. You're not going to put in DTR because I'm sorry. DTR is exciting and he's fun, but it's just like, he's not making the plays like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he's fun, but you got to give him some time. I don't know. Have him back up from Deshaun. And it's just like, but Nick Chubb, I mean, dude, no extra gear, just him in the Browns uniform, just like trucking, running. He looks so scary. He looks so terrifying. He looks Like, he just looks like a beast every single time. So to see that happen, like you said, to a player so talented, it's just, bro, RIP the Browns. They're the best fans in the world, but like RIP that organization that'll like never get like a happy moment for them. Swear to God.
That's tragic, bro.
It's tragic. How about we get into some drum corps here? The people, if you've stayed so far into this video, I bet drum corps people who like clicked on this video are like, they're talking about sports ball. Are you kidding me? I'm out of here. I'm done. I don't talk about sports. Well, we had to get in our sports talk now. Okay, we'll get to the band stuff. Here we go. We got to get into the band talk. So, Joey, let's just start with the easy question. You being a trumpet player, by the way, I think I've already said that in this video, but we're just saying it again. What inspired you to pick up the trumpet?
I'm be the first guest that you have on this show, I believe, that did not want to play the saxophone. I wanted to play trumpet from the beginning. Both my sisters were in band. They were flute players. I didn't even know what marching band was until my sister got to high school. So, yeah. And like my mom, I love my mom so much. Like, she's our biggest supporter. She like would go to all our marching band shows. She went to all my drum corps shows. And so she would take me, my sister, to my oldest sister's like marching band shows. And we'd watch it. We'd see all the competition. And for whatever reason, I think trumpet just spoke to me. Her band director, Mr. Capshaw, who was like my biggest inspiration when it came to music. He was also a trumpet player. He gave me private lessons down the line. And I still talk to him to this day. We're still very connected. And she had a friend who was a drum major. His name was Gilbert Villagrana, also a trumpet player. And he was another one of my inspirations. And my mom used to tell me that at football games, he used to play like mariachi music in the stands. Like, he would have a solo. And apparently, like, I would like stand on the stands and like imitate what he was doing. So like, it was like kind of destined from the start. So like, I knew I was going to play trumpet. And so by the time we got to 5th grade, I was in Virginia at the time. Band started in 5th grade there. So like, we got to the band classes and I was like, trumpet, I'm not playing anything else. I'm not going to tell them I'm trumpet.
That's the one.
It was from there on, I kept playing trumpet.
So from there, is there a show or is there a moment or is there a person that inspires you to do drum corps?
There is. His name is Che Ulibadi. He was a senior my freshman year in high school. And he played trombone. He marched baritone at the academy in 2015. I had no idea what drum corps was. Like, I remember I was like a little freshman. I was on his Instagram, and he had like those pictures, and I was like, "Oh, is this like a city marching band thing from El Paso?" I'm like, "Why are they at Lucas Oil?" I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. I get to go to Lucas Oil." And then like eventually I found out what that was. I still talk to him. Che's a really good friend of mine. He makes music. His artist name is Melancholy 10. Shout out Melancholy 10.
Shout out Melancholy 10.
He makes really good music. So I was really like the first person that got me into drum corps. I met a bunch of people throughout my life from El Paso that also did drum corps, but Che was the person that got it all started.
So were you in Texas by the time, like, I know you say you started, like you were in Virginia at the time. Were you in Texas for like when marching band starts for you?
Yeah, I was basically in El Paso my entire life. I was born in Atlanta, that's why I'm a Falcons fan. Tragic. Anyway, moved to El Paso when I was like 5. And then I was there for about, I think, 5 years. And then my mom got a new job in DC. That's when we moved up to Virginia. We were only there for a year before we went back to El Paso. So yeah.
Okay.
I was already back in Texas.
So what age did you like go out for your first season of drum corps?
I was 16.
16. Good Lord. Was that also like your first season for auditioning?
It was. I was a sophomore in high school.
Do you remember like your first audition at all?
I do remember my first audition camp. It was with the academy.
Oh, okay.
I was a mess, dude. Like, I'm still a mess now, but like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I would talk to my friend Che. You know, he was telling me about the camp. I like kept asking him questions, like I was bugging him. And I was like asking for help. He was fairly confident that I could make it for Academy 2018. I was pretty confident in myself too, but like I did not know what I was getting myself into, didn't know the audition process, didn't know nothing. So he was like, "Did you get the audition packet?" I'm like, "What's an audition packet?"
Oh no.
I was like, "Dude, what's an audition packet?" He's like, "Oh no, 3 days before the camp."
Oh no.
Looking at it, I was just like, it was like, I have to do all this? It's like, I have to do box drill playing a concert F. Are you serious?
Oh
So
my
it was
God.
like, I don't know what the first etude was, but I know the second one was a Charlie A etude. It was like Charlie A11. It was like bum ba
Never fails.
something like that. Like looking back, it was pretty impressive that I learned all that in like 3 days.
In 3 days as a 16-year-old, by the way.
I was 15 at the time.
You were 15 at the time. That makes it even like, bro. Like I would
16.
prepare for months for my auditions at 15 years old. Go into that room and just crumble. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
that's huge.
To be fair, I did crumble in the audition room. Like nothing went well. Like I was so tired at the camp. I don't think I brought shower shoes. I don't think I brought a towel.
Bro, you and Dylan.
Actually, I did bring. Shout out Dylan.
Shout out Dylan.
Dude, you know what? I did bring a towel. I knew that I had to bring a black towel for the camp, and like I didn't even realize. Like, get this! I didn't even realize that the towel I had wasn't a hand towel. I had a big black bath towel as my trumpet. Dude, everything just went wrong. Nothing went right that camp. Nothing went right. Nothing went right. Because I was just like, dumb 15-year-old didn't know who he was getting himself into. So
that's kind of like the most stressful weekend of all time. Did you know anybody when you were going to the camp, or was it just like,
nope?
That makes it even
by
worse,
myself, and like just like looking at all the vets wearing their academy like core jackets. Like it just freaked me out. It was so scary because like I had to watch like their past shows, and I was like, "That's down, bro!" Like that, it was crazy. As you could expect, I did not make it. But similar to Dylan, I didn't get cut. They also offered me that trainee contract that he was talking about.
Was that still happening in 2018?
Yes, it was. I remember when Dylan brought it up, I was like, dude, they're still doing it. I don't know if they're doing it anymore. I think they're doing it in 2019 still. But yeah, they're like, unfortunately, we can't offer you a spot, but we'd like to offer you either in our Phenom program, which is like the sound sport, or a trainee position, which is like you show up to all the camps. But from what I understand,
practice squad, literally practice squad for the NFL. Like you come get the core ready, and then on game day, you're on the sideline.
Yeah, it was like you show up to all the camps, pay for all the camps, pay for the trainee contract, and then I wouldn't even like make it to spring training. But I think they would evaluate their trainees, and maybe they would have saw something in me and eventually brought me on as a full member, but I just decided not to go with it.
I still think that's a scam no matter what. Like just to be like, hey, you got to come pay all this stuff. It's not even the fact that it's like this is an alternate contract. So like somebody could fall at any point and you're still a member, so you can hop in that spot as an alternate member. Like it's like, no, you're a trainee, you're here to just like learn and along the ride, and it's like, what like what are we talking about right now?
It's like the experience camps that some drum corps have like in November, December. That's like early on, but like it's like the experience camp on the edge of spring training.
And that's, did you go audition anywhere else after that, or like was it just right to Guardians?
It was right to Guardians. Looking back, now that I think about it, I think I did accept the trainee contract, but then my homie Che like kind of talked me out of it. He was like, maybe you should pursue something else, and that's when he recommended Guardians to me. He was already in college by the time. He told me about his friend at March Guardians. He had a fun time. He told me to audition for Guardians, and I did.
Yeah, and then from there you head off for your first summer. And well, real quick before we head off to the first summer, how much was that trainee contract, by the way? How much were you gonna have to pay? I'm just interested.
It wasn't like 4 digits. It must have been like $500 or $600. Like in that ballpark.
Okay.
But like on top of like camp fees, I'm pretty sure camp fees were like $100 at the time. So like it still would have ended up being like over $1,000.
And like plane tickets and food and all the good things in between. Yeah, no, absolutely. It still would be like so much. Going for your first summer, you're 16 years old, right? 16 going into the first summer. What was it like going home? What was it like going away from home for the first time?
The night before I left, I cried, bro, like straight up. Like I was just like, Mom, I'm gonna miss you and whatnot.
No way.
Like, I didn't want to. I was like sad to leave my dogs. I wasn't gonna see my friends over the summer. I knew I was gonna miss marching band camp. I typically didn't have like the greatest marching band camp experiences, but like I still liked going. You know, at the time I thought I was ready, but like looking back, 16, I'm like, dang, that's like so young to be away from home for like that long. I'm pretty sure I packed like the night before. Like I just got like a duffel bag, like a big army bag, just started throwing clothes in there. I wasn't even like folding them or anything. I'm pretty sure I did that like every year until my age out here where I just like packed the night before.
Oh my God. Bro, I was the complete opposite whenever I started. I remember like I had the conversation the night before too with my mom, and she like came to, and she did it every season. She would come to the door. I'd be chilling in my room the night before I'd leave. She'd be like, "Are you ready? You sure you want to go do this?" I remember the first time it happened, and like no fear in me. She was just like, "You ready to go do this?" And I was like, "I got to. Like, I have to go." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I gotta go tomorrow. Like, I have to go. I gotta go do this thing." I'm like, "I just know I gotta go do this thing." And it's crazy because it's like you said, it's so young when you look back on that, and like everything that you experience at 16 years old, at 15 years old. I guess while we're here, ask a quick question. What advice would you give to people starting at that age, if they do start at that age?
Be determined, be ambitious. At that age, I knew I wasn't going to back out. You said like your mom was wondering like, are you sure you want to go? I don't think my mom did that to me. My mom would also push me a lot. So I knew I had to do it as well. Like I was like, I'm going to go do this. Like I want to do this. And that was the thing. Like I really wanted to do drum corps. And so I was like, no matter what, I'm just going to suck it up and I'm going to go. Just like work hard, like all your dreams are achievable if you work hard. Like
absolutely.
I was never the most talented trumpet player at first. I wasn't the best mover. Like dude, my freshman year of high school, like I didn't even get a marching band spot. I was like an alternate in the alternate block. And then the next year I was sent off to drum corps. It's funny now that I think about it. There is a saxophone pipeline with me because when I eventually did fill a spot my freshman year, I held a saxophone.
It all leads back to the saxophone, bro. It all leads back.
I started off not even having a marching band spot. I worked my ass off.
So for that first season, you talked about how you were like, I kind of went to this thing. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. What was the moment in that first summer where it was kind of like, welcome to drum corps? Like, this is what this whole thing is kind of about. Like, did you have that in the first summer? And if so, what was that like?
There was a couple things. I think maybe the first thing was just running. Just like a normal jog. like we weren't even like doing beatings or anything. Like we weren't like go run and touch a wall. It was like May camp and we're doing like marching exercise called Donkey Kongs or something like that.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Especially since we were like younger members, 16. Like anytime someone like missed a step off, missed a close, missed like any like sort of direction change or anything, you just like send the whole line, go touch the wall over there. And it was like May camp, and that was like, this is what I'm signing up for. And then like the very first day of spring training, it was just like a normal jog following the visual caption head Adam Krobeck around. There's like a black top and then like some field, and then I was just like,
there's gonna be so much running every day.
Yeah, those are just like the kind of moments. Sleeping in the gym floor, the traveling on bus. Like I was so excited for that. I was ready for that. Oh yeah, I wanted to do that.
Something I wanted to ask that I don't think I've talked about yet. Something I experienced in my rookie year, and I wanted to know for you, and I totally should ask Dylan this because he started so young, and Austin too. It feels like the first week of spring training it's like it takes forever. In my rookie year, I kind of just felt like every night would end the same way. Every day during spring training would end the same way. So it would end in a warm down in the brass circle. So like every day would end like that. Through every day, it felt so long at first. I was like, this thing is going 85 days, bro. I don't think I can. And then like I would just open my eyes. I was like, oh, week 2's done. Oh, yeah, we're in the middle of week 3. Week 3's done. Holy shit, we're going on tour. Oh my God. And I just remember being like one night kind of just like meshes into the other. I was just wondering if you kind of ever had something like that. It's a little small thing.
I don't think I had a moment my rookie year where like things like started, picking up speed. Definitely when we got on tour, it started like moving a little bit faster. But I think I kind of like lived every day in the moment. There were days that obviously sucked, especially.
What's something about open class the casual fan at home might not understand?
Everyone's super young. That was from my experience. We were a super young drum corps. And like Dylan was saying, there was a lot of talented people. I met so many talented people when I was in open class. Open class was what set me up to be as successful as I got in my drum corps career. I got so good at playing after my season at open class. I got way better at moving. I got way better at reading the feel. It just made me better at drum corps.
Yeah,
you gotta understand that. I'll stray on from what Dylan was saying a little bit, but I will say we were a bunch of shitheads a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. We were a goofy group. We were definitely a young group. Yeah. But dude,
That's the best though.
Dude, that made it so much more fun. That honestly made it so much more fun. Like, I was talking with a friend of mine this past season at Blue Devils who marched Guardians in 19, and we were just like talking about it. We're just like, dude, open class moments. Like, we were just thinking about like all the like the shit that would happen in open class. We're just like, yo, like that would happen nowhere else, but that just made it so much more fun. Like, I just remember like,
what are some moments?
Dude, just like some of the places you would shower. It's like, dude, like we're just like middle of nowhere, like Iowa. Like you get to like walk across an entire like cornfield, or just like there's just so much corn. Walk across the entire cornfield
out there,
and enter a shed that has like a staircase going like down into the basement, and it's just like it looks like the gulags or something. And it's just like it's so dark.
Is this
and then like you know what, the showers were actually kind of nice, but like you wouldn't even like in the moment you wouldn't even like think about it, but like looking back I'm like, dude, that would never happen anywhere else. But
no one would ever let you do that.
Like that just made it so much more fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Something for open class as well. Is it more about the educational side of things, especially at Guardians? Because at this point, we talked to Dylan, of course, and Dylan was there. It was the second year of the organization. So at this point, they're a little established now. World class itself is becoming more established. Shows in design level are starting to catch up to world class level. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not obviously a world class show, but they're catching up in design, the whole bit. Is it more about the education side of things, and we're teaching you the right mechanics and the right skills so that, you know, you can move on and become a better musician and all of these things? Or is it like competitive? We're competing, we're trying to do this and that.
I think it's a little bit of both, you know, especially like from the educator side. I remember Guardians having a lot of like super young techs. Like we had a bunch of people that had just aged out, people that had marched not that long ago. It was their first teaching experience in drum corps. So they're also learning with some of the members like myself who were doing drum corps for the first time. But we weren't just like there to like lolly-dally, you know? Like we were competing. My year was the 5th year in its existence. We were like, we're going to compete. We're going to go to open class finals again, and we're going to place higher than we did last year, you know? We're going to get a higher score, and eventually, hopefully, our ambitions like lead us to go into world class. Maybe world class finals. Like, we never know where it's going to take us.
Absolutely.
And people who are designing the show and like the educators, they were all passionate about it, you know?
And I want to talk about one of the designers, because how do we not know that Kanye West is designing these Guardian shows? Because I'm watching last night, I'm watching your designer talk about the show from 2018. There's a clip of you guys at the Alamo Dome, and he's talking about like, he mentions Kanye West so many times in 2.5 minutes in this interview. It's just like, yeah. So we're like taking like last year's show was completely about his like bipolar syndrome and like all of his other stuff. And it was just like, so is Guardians like in love with Kanye, or is Kanye like, did he start Guardians? What's the word? Like, I did like the incorporation of the music though. I will say that. I gotta be a little shithead.
It was a cool interpretation. That was one of the like things that attracted me to them. Was I was like, this is different. Like we're gonna do rap music. I listen to rap music. Like I like these artists. Honestly, since I was so young, I don't know who was the show designers, but I know the person who arranged the music was Daniel Montoya. That must have been the guy that you were, like the video you saw. He arranges for a couple bands. I don't know who he's arranging for anymore. He has a YouTube channel. You had a
ton of people in here. You had, sorry, keep going. I was always cut you off.
Yeah,
keep going, bro.
Daniel had a YouTube channel, and he's just like a big sneakerhead. And like before Kanye like started doing Kanye things in the last year. Like, dude had like all of these Yeezys, bro. Bro had so many Yeezys. Like, he had every single pair of Yeezys. And then the Guardians 2017 show, the drum majors wore Yeezys, and they got to keep them. So,
I remember that. That's insane.
So Daniel Montoya just loved Kanye, and he just loved the music. So you're just like, you know what? We're gonna get rap music and put it in a drum corps show.
It's the most random set, and what I was gonna say earlier, it's just the most random writing of artists ever. You have Childish Gambino in here, Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, and then the GOAT Gustav Mahler. Like, just throw him in the mix in there with all the rest of the boys. It's just like, my question about that, at the beginning of the season, how did that whole show conceptually get explained to you guys?
Dude, I don't remember. All I, dude, I don't remember.
Can I ask a follow-up question then?
Yeah,
if you do remember this, because I gotta know, because I remember when the show, like I was at OC, I remember when the show got announced, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so tight. Like all these artists getting featured in drum corps shows, this is gonna be great. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I saw the uniforms for that summer, and I want to know from your guys' end, what was the reaction when the uniforms were revealed?
I think it was like a bit of mixed reviews. We were kind of like hoodie, like joggers, a ball cap.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm cool with rocking the black ADUs they're giving us. I'm cool with that. I want to march with that. But I think it was just like, I don't think we were overly hyped, and I don't think we overly like disliked it. And I think that's how I was. I like the black with like the rainbow color palette on top of it. So
I did, yeah.
It wasn't my favorite uniform, but I didn't hate it, I was just like,
no, it's cool.
I think it fits with the theme of the show.
I mean, it was also pushing the activity at that point. I mean, 2016 starts the whole like digital print uniforms at that point. So I think it was kind of in that 2-year era where people were trying to figure out what works. I mean, I'll never forget in 2016, I'm a rookie. I don't know any better. I'm sitting in the gym at May Camp, and Vish Captionet's pulling up. He's like, I'm going to show you guys the uniform, the first draft of the uniform on the screen. And I remember we're waiting, screens loading, and then boom, this tree on a white canvas. And like, it's not like an immediate, like I remember in 2019 when like the people came out from behind the curtain and it's the uniform. Everyone was like, oh my, like everyone was just so gassed. In 2016, we sat there and we went, did you just, dude, is that supposed, we all looked at each other like, is that a tree? Is that red, by the way? Like, we're trying to tell the colors, because I'm like, the tree's supposed to be brown. Is that red to you guys? I remember like we walked out of the gym and I like got scared because the vets were walking to the brass block for the night block of this camp, and the vets were like, dude, we're so fucked. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Do you guys not like the uniform? They're like, I was like, dude, wait, I thought they're
cool. all Jeff's hopes and dreams just crushed.
I was like, I'll just keep working hard. Moving forward, I really enjoyed the vocal ensemble on that show. I went and watched the whole open class final show last night, and I watched it back. I really did enjoy the vocal ensemble, and I was kind of curious. I wanted to ask a little nerdy question here, just to see if you knew anything about this. First off, how did they rehearse with the drum corps? Because a lot of them were on the side for a lot of that show, it seemed like. I just watched it last night, so I could be just like forgetting things, but it felt like that ensemble was on the side a lot. So it was like, how did they rehearse with you guys?
I don't think they were ever like rehearsed with the drum corps until like full ensemble. So
we kind of had a similar situation where it was like Vish block in the morning in 16, because we had a vocal ensemble too in 16, and like in the morning for Vish, they would just like, they would never have to do a Vish block. It'd be like, first hour, just go do like, go work with the pit.
At least in spring training, since we were trying to become like more dance oriented, we were trying to like incorporate a lot of dance into our show. Every morning when we would wake up, this is different, never had this at any of the drum corps experience. You'd wake up, your first block starts in like 15 minutes from the moment the lights turn on. And
wait, whoa,
no, listen. Like, it wasn't like the first block, but it's like the first like organized like activity the drum corps is doing. So in 15 minutes we'd go and stretch and like do a dance like every morning in spring training, then go eat breakfast, and then hit to like the first block. So I think some of the vocalists might have been there for that dance block.
I think that might be worse than like me waking up in 16 and like grabbing a honey packet and doing PT. I think that could be worse. Like, dude, 15 minutes, we're getting in the dance block and we're like, and then you eat breakfast and then hit the first block. Dude,
and there wasn't like designated spots. It was just like make a block. So like 16-year-old Jody, I was just like, oh, I have to get up. I'm like, I was like, dude, if I'm quiet, like they won't know I won't go. And then I'm just like, oh, okay, I gotta
go. You look up and it's like, oh fuck, everyone's gone. So moving forward in the season, or I guess, keeping on open class finals night, what's some differences from an open class finals night and a world class finals night?
Biggest one is it's not in a dome.
Not in the dome.
It's not in a dome. Retreat's a little bit different. It's just drum majors on the field. The whole corps doesn't get on the field. It's not 3 nights. I think it was just like prelims the day. No, just the prelims the day before, and then finals like the next day.
I really wish I kind of had this down to like follow up with that. What if we just had open class championships since it's 2 days? What if we just had them in Lucas Oil the day before like world class prelims start, or like have it in the early slot for like prelims or something? Because I think that would, I know they get to perform there anyway, but I just think that would be cool for them to have the dome show like finalist experience, like, instead of like showing up and being like, well, this is just an exhibition. Season's over anyway. We've already gotten our scores. We know what happened, but they need us to do an exhibition here. But I think it would be so much more cooler for kids, especially being that young, to like walk in and be like, oh my God, we're going for the, like, this is our finals, like in the dome, just like everybody. Like that would be, I think that's so cool. Cause like the Michigan City Stadium, I went there in 2012 or 2013 to see my brother perform. It was one of the first shows I saw him perform at. And obviously young kid, it's all cool because, you know, drum corps, stadium and whatnot. But as you grow up, you're like, man, that Michigan City Stadium did. Like it is it's not big. It's small. It's super small. So I was just like, what if those kids, and it would help with like overall exposure for open class too. So it's like, you have to go to the middle of nowhere in Indiana because Indiana is already just Indiana. It's like, no, go out to Michigan City, Indiana, and go watch open class drum corps,
Michigan State. Bro, you're in like a city named Michigan in India. You're like,
where are we?
I think that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a pretty cool experience. Like, I've never thought about that, but yeah, I'd be on board for that. And I think, it gets so much exposure to like open class groups, like the stuff that they're doing and the talent that they have. It'd be so cool because I don't even think Flow Marching does open class finals.
No, I don't think they do. Or if they do, it's like not really talked about, not really pushed, not really promoted like that. Something I also wanted to ask is just like, what is something you think could help open class get some more exposure? Just let the people know, you know what I'm saying? They're also working just as hard. They have great shows, great talent, all the good things.
I think just like the things that we were talking about, you know, that'd be cool if they did a dome show for the last show. And also let them go to all the regionals, you know, like Guardians, we were lucky. We got to do the Alamo Dome show because we were from Texas. Yeah, let all the open class go to the regional, and then do like an open class regional, like open class, like southeastern champion.
TCI, we need open class regionals. We need open class regionals on Friday, and then do the world class on Saturday. I think that makes sense. What's wrong with that?
It'd be Thursday for Allentown though, because
or just have them do it Sunday. I don't know. No, like do it Thursday.
It'd be cool. I think just maybe the problem with it is just like scheduling, because they have to schedule all those like stadiums. I don't know if like anyone's
like a year out. They definitely do.
So but like, dude,
thinking
post, even if it's not like Jay Bernie Crum or anywhere else, San Antonio, Alamo Dome, like just have a regional, you know. And like promote it, like it'd be at least one, cool.
At least one, and then put it on Flow Marching, and like that's
promote it. That's what makes world class get so entertaining leading up until finals. Is like Saturday Night Lights. It's like the
Saturday night, the regional. It's like all the drama going into the regional. What are the scores throughout the week? Then we hit the regional. Everyone's all together. We see the scores at the end of the night. The drama for the scores at the end of the night, and then we go through another week. And it's like that's what the excitement's about. Like the week, the scores, the shows, the regional. So it's just like, let's give open class something like that. Let's give them some drama. You know? Something else I wanted to ask about, just to wrap up open class talk a little bit. I talked about this in the first episode, talking about separating open class and world class by age. And I kind of just wanted to see what you think, because my idea, what I feel like would be cool and what I think makes sense logically, looking back as a 22-year-old now who started at 14, what if we separated open class from 14 to 17 years old and then have world class start at maybe 17 or 18 and then go to 21 years old? They have the all age class that's about to come in, so they have that as well. But if you could do open class as its own 14 to 17 and then 18 to 21, that's kind of been my idea. It's what I feel like makes sense, especially as someone who was so young going into these audition rooms, like Boston, for example. When I was like 16 and 17 going to these audition rooms, I'm like, dude, I didn't stand a chance. I'm in there with like music majors from UNT in Indiana who are like, they're doing this every single day. Like, I'm just some little shit who's walking in there being like, I want to be a Boston Crusader. And it's like, I'm a music education major at Berkeley University. And it's like, I stand no shot against that kid. Like, no way. And already off the bat, they're like, hey, university, yes. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? I just think, what are your opinions?
I get where you're coming from. I think something like that would help separating like open class and world class. There's people who age out in open class because they've never done drum corps before. Maybe, they can't afford to go to a Blue Devils camp or a Boston Crusaders camp. It's a drum corps that's close to them, you know what? Yeah. And they've known that drum corps for so many years, and they're like, I want to get to experience drum corps. So they decide to audition for that drum corps and age out. And let's say like it's for 17 and under, and you're over 21. You're like, dang, I can't do drum corps anymore because I can't afford to go to like a world class camp. I don't think there should
be the financials of it,
Yeah. For world class, I think like a bottom age of 17 is reasonable. But like the thing is, there's so many like talented young people that do world class who are so good at such a young age.
Yes.
But like Jacob Rodriguez, shout out.
He was a freak.
He was so good. If I was 16 and I had like high ambitions, and I knew I could make a top 8 group, like I'd want to do a top 8 group,
That's valid. That's so valid.
I get where you're coming from, but I'm just like in practice, like it'd be hard to implement,
Oh yeah, for sure. I think in explaining all that just like debunks dumb Jeff, because it's like, obviously financials. Let's think about it. But I like to throw it out there because I'm thinking about, we talked about in Dylan's episode, for example, like how 15, 16-year-old hanging out with a 21-year-old, like outside of band, you have nothing in common. There's like the perspectives are completely different. That maturity level, everything about that. So I'm just thinking, like, what if we just separated? But I think Dylan made a good point when he like specified, I forgot how he worded it. He worded it so well. It was like, instead of like separating on financial class or something, he said something along those lines and it was so good. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I just have to throw that one out there because I think it should at least be a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because I think maybe it should, or at least it starts a conversation of some sort. Just throwing a little some out there.
I think there's definitely drum corps, like open class corps that do under 18. Like I might be wrong. I think BB did a summer or two that it was like max age is 18.
Really?
I think so. I think they did a summer like that. So if an open class corps did that, that'd be pretty cool. Give like a lot of young people exposure to the activity, make them really good. There's like some corps that have like in their audition packet, like you must be like 16 or 17 years old to audition, but then they still take people that are younger.
I definitely lied about my age my first 2 years auditioning. I'm not gonna lie. I do remember, right as you said that, I just remembered that I lied about my age my first 2 years because there was so many groups, like you said, where it was like you have to be this age to get in or like audition. And I don't know, I was just like, Mom, what do I do? Like, Mom and Dad, what do I do? They were just like, put down that you're 16.
Dude, because corps don't ask for your birth certificate. They don't really ask for your birth certificate or like ID or anything.
So I think I was 16 until like 2018. And I was like, okay. I'm like 17 now. It's okay. How do you end up auditioning for the Blue Knights in 2019? Was that the first destination or were there other destinations in mind?
I think it was my first destination. I was having a conversation with someone in the locker room my rookie year, and I was just like, I think I want to go to Blue Knights next year. Colorado's cool. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I watched a single Blue Knights show before I said that. It's good. I think it was like my friend Che. I think he was the first person that recommended Blue Knights. They sound chill. Like I'd probably audition for them, like I want to get into finalist group. But the other group that I had in mind was the Santa Clara Vanguard, and that's coming off of their championship season.
That's right.
Because my rookie year, Guardians switched to Bedleg, and like so much of our staff that year were Vanguard alum from like early 2010s, and a couple I think aged out in like 16 and 17. So there's like a big like Vanguard influence in Guardians when I first marched. So like in 2019, I was like so hot on the Vanguard train. I was like, dude, they're gonna be sick for the next couple of years. Like I want to march for them. I was so like about bent leg. I was like, bent leg's better than straight leg. So it was between Blue Knights and Santa Clara Vanguard, and then I think I bought the packet for Vanguard. Dude, it was a fat packet, and I was just like,
not happening.
Like,
this is too much.
I was like, it's too much. I don't want to learn all this.
Vanguard doing too much.
Thinking to myself, I'm probably getting a little bit over my head. I'm probably not going to make a championship group at 17, but who knows? But I decided to do Blue Nights, and I don't regret it at all. It was the right choice.
Absolutely. What was the audition environment, especially at BK? Because that's something I talked about in Dylan's episode. But for you, I want to know from your perspective as someone who had just come off their rookie year, what was that audition environment like for you compared to others you had been to?
I remember walking into November camp at Englewood High School. It was different from the year before when I auditioned for my first time, in the sense that the world around me just like, I don't know how to explain it, didn't feel so big. I didn't feel like so small anymore. Like I had done an audition before. I've been to audition camps before, especially with the academy camp. That was like what got me ready for everything. Like I knew what to expect. Honestly, just in my head, I was just thinking I'm ready for this. Like I just wasn't intimidated by it. Like I didn't have that feeling no more. And so
absolutely,
I don't remember being like super nervous at camp. I remember being more excited for it than anything.
I was gonna say something I wanted to ask about, especially going into like auditions like that with bigger groups, top 8 on and up, top 12 on and up. What's something that helps you like cool the nerves? Because I think either way, like in 2019, I'm going into my 4th year, but even before that brass audition, every single month, November, December to like January, there's still like some nerves before I head into that like brass room. Every single time I'm waiting on the outside, there's a person ahead of me. I can feel it start to come up in my chest. What's something you would say to the people out there to just like help cool you down?
I think for me, what helped a lot was just like accepting the fact that I was going to be nervous. I couldn't ignore it. There was nothing I could do to ignore it. Like I just had to be like, nope, like I'm nervous, but I'm not going to let this affect the performance that I'm going to have. I know what kind of performer I am, and I'm going to show that off. That was like my way of like overcoming nerves and like a lot of adrenaline. It was like, I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to show it off.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. That is amazing, bro. A quick question for that camp season. I talked about this in the episode with Dylan, but were you in that group with me by chance at the end of the January camp that had to we had to march for our spot? Because I thought you were. I remember, because I think at that point we had been talking. You were like, we were all in this little like group together of people who were just like, all right, yo, check me out when I go there. Check me out when I go there.
Dude. I was in that group. The first one was just like a straight line of like, I don't know, maybe like 7
It was just slides, and it was just going back and forth between like a forward slide and a backward slide. I remember.
And there was like halts, or maybe there was like one with the halt, maybe one with the hip switch. Dude, the very first like close, I fucked it. I completely missed it. I like tripped over myself, and I was just like in my head, I'm like,
I'm cut.
I'm cut. I was just like, dude, if I get cut, I'm never doing drum corps again. I'm gonna forget about my stuff. I'm just like, in that moment, I was like, dude, it's so over, bro.
Bro, I thought getting called into that group, I was like, I'm cut. Like, this is it. Like, that's why. Like when I was done, I went to the side. I was like, bro, we good? Are we chilling?
Yeah, my individual audition that camp went super well. Do you remember your personal auditions in like November, December, January, or no?
I had the worst luck in January. November, I forgot who I auditioned in front of. He was great. I think I want to mention it later because I don't have the name right now, and I definitely don't want to mess it up. I just remember like November went good. At this point though, I had like gained some confidence in myself because I feel like I had just gone to a Boston audition like every year before, just getting told like, hey kid, no. And it's just like, wait, what? Can I get any notes? And it's like, you send me an email. And I'm like, I'm definitely not getting any notes from this guy. So it was just like, all right, cool. Moving on. I gained more confidence, and I think I prepared more than I had ever had in my life, and I was so determined every single night. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to walk in here and they're going to turn me away, because I will work every single night to get this audition thing right. I will do everything in my power to work on this like every single day. I didn't even care. Like I remember I got called all the way till January. Like there was people around me. I remember December I was pissed. We were at the end of camp. We're playing all the tunes at the end, whatever it was. It was
Auditorium,
like
bro.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there, and then people had just gotten their contract, and they had put me on another callback. And I was like, son of a bitch. They're going to drag me to January, and I'm going to get cut. And I'm like, I got to work my ass off. I remember in January. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm agreeing. Like, dude, that was like same boat.
You see them and they're like, you start asking because like, people come out to see your Sunday afternoon like camp thing. You're kind of looking around the arc and it's just like, oh, did you get a con? Yeah. What'd you get? I have to audition.
In your head, you're just like, fuck you.
How? It's just like I just remember sitting there. I was like, bro, I have to come back another month, and it's just another month of pressure. And I was just
like, for real. And then like January, it's like kind of late into the drum corps season, so you're just like,
I have to make it.
Yeah, I was like on the same boat. I think my November camp, I remember that was the first time I met Keith, but he wasn't the caption at that point yet. And I played for him. I was 16 at that time. I was just like a month before turning 17. And I think I just sounded like a high schooler. And no, you know what? He said that to me, like the way I was warming up. And then like I played, he was just like, how old are you? And I was like, oh, I'm 16. He's just like, oh, okay.
Makes sense.
It just sounds like you're a high schooler. Like, not in a bad way. He was just like,
no, like,
confident.
Yeah, like, maturity of like sound and all that good stuff.
Yeah, he was just like, I could tell you have a good sound, but like the way you're warming up, you're like holding back. Like, why don't you just like let it go a little bit? And so I did. I don't think I had the best audition because I got like a 2 in music that weekend. And then in December, I auditioned for Chad Pence. Rest in peace, Chad Pence.
Rest in peace. Yes, I auditioned for him as well in December.
I never got to talk with him that much
because I think like, it was only he was there for that month, and I think in January is when Keith became captain.
We found out like at the end of the camp, but like I played for Chad, and I was like again super nervous. I had a couple cracks. I don't really remember how it went. He didn't like say anything. Like Keith like gave me a bunch of comments, and Chad was just like, thank you. And then I went on my way, got a call back. I'm like, dude, January.
Oh my
it's like so stressed out. And then like, dude, I prepared so much. I played what was it, Schlossberg 2 on the move that we had to do for audition.
Jesus. Yeah, we all had to do Schlossberg on the move. And like the thing for me, bro, like why January was so stressful is because I prepared so hard over the month. I did everything. Literally, I wake up on Friday morning. I got to fly out Friday afternoon for camp. I wake up with like a fever and like a whole headache. My throat's hurting. I'm like, I'm sick. And sure enough, I went to January camp and I woke up Saturday and my audition was going to be Saturday morning and I couldn't breathe out of my nose. And I was like,
you're a mile high in the air.
And I'm a mile high already and I can't breathe out of my nose. I wake up and I'm like, it's literally just like, like, I'm like, oh my God. So like before the audition, like Keith's in the little like cafeteria, like where you went and did your little like on the move. And I'm just sitting behind and I'm just in a bathroom, just like trying to get everything out. I've never done this in my drum corps career. Before that audition, because I was so sick. I was so fucking sick. Like I went off to the side right before I knew I was going to go up and I fucking said a prayer. I swear to God, I put my hand. There was people ahead of me and I went to a side room. I sat down, I put my trumpet down and I said, please God, I don't ask for much. I want this one thing. I need you to give me the next 2.5 minutes of my life to be great. I need 2.5 minutes. And then after that, you can fuck me all you want, but I need 2.5 minutes right now. And he gave it and I got it. And it worked out.
Shout out God.
Shout out God for real.
Dude, was it you that like you were doing the on the move and you like ran into the wall because there wasn't like a lot of space?
I think I hit the trash can. No, I hit the trash can.
I think you know what? You might have been like right before me because I remember someone like hitting a trash can.
Or it might have been. I don't know. I definitely remember like everyone hit that trash can.
Dude, it was
like
it was area. Dude, it was a tiny area.
Everybody hit it. So like afterwards, I was like, I think I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I hit the trash. He's like, everyone hit it.
Dude, that was like the January camp audition at cafeteria. It was like the first audition I'd ever had where like I just wasn't nervous, or like I was nervous. Yes. But it was like the first time I felt to myself, I'm like, I know what I can do. I know that I'm worthy, good enough, talented enough to make this horn line. I'm gonna show it off right now. I play my music. Keith's like, all right, next thing. I did my Schlossberg on the move. Like I finished it, and he gave me some comments. He's just like, out of everybody that I've heard today, vets and first time, you were the best person that I heard on the move today. And I was just like, yeah.
That's all I'm at a contract in your head. You're just like, let's eat one.
and then I tripped on the visual, and I was just like, oh well, My moment of victory's gone. No more.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. But going into that 2019 summer, something I wanted to talk about. Do you remember that the trumpet section was like, we weren't too hot getting out the gate, like as a section, like of players? Like we were tight as a group of people, but like as players, it wasn't the hottest start. Do you remember that at all?
In spring training or in camp?
In spring training.
I don't remember that at all. I remember like in the off season we had like a lot of people like drop and like
that too.
We had like really fucking talented people drop, which sucked. Dude,
like I think all 5 alternates from like camp season got a spot by spring training.
And then did we? I don't know if we did have someone like fill in the spot. We had Juan fill in the spot. Yes. He was a mellow phone. Yeah. Dude, we had like 8 people drop.
Yeah, we had a lot of people go
drop, but I don't remember it being rough to start with. I came like 5 days late. I missed the snow. Yeah. I missed the blizzard, unfortunately.
Oh, fuck you.
Because I was still in the high school ended a little bit later before.
Yeah.
I got to spring training, but I came from open class, so
I
got 17 thrown into like a world-class environment, top 9 like environment. So
you're like, dude, we're great.
Yeah, I was like, dude,
we're solid. I just remember we couldn't play any of our features for the life of us. The closer feature we could not play. I remember Nick Skinner. Shout out Nick Skinner.
That part.
Like I remember like when we got that for the first time from sectionals when we learned it to the brass block. He literally had us carrying the trumpets in one hand and the book in the other, singing it while he's like, and we're walking to the brass block and he's like, "Come on." And like we're setting up the arc and we're singing this the whole time.
Dude, I must have just thought, I was just like, this is like normal drum corps thing. It's just like we're cleaning, we're getting rid of the dirt. So were we dookie, Jeff? I don't know. You tell me. I thought we were chilling. I thought that was like normal thing, bro.
Nah, we definitely. I mean, I think it's a part of spring training. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to clean the dirt out sometimes. But also, I think it was just like. Shout out Jacob Rodriguez. I just remember the first night of tour, we're pulling up to the show, and Jacob Rodriguez is like, "We're getting full pointed by mandarins tonight." Like I'm sitting right next to him on the bus, and you sat right in front of me, or you sat 2 seats in front of me.
Yeah.
But like Jacob was right next to me. He's like, "We're getting full pointed tonight," and I'm like, "Jacob, what do you mean?" He's like, "We're so bad." Like I heard that all the time. He's like, "Bro, like if you slept next to me, like, bro, did you see the BD uniform? BD uniform." And like,
dude, no, I remember the funniest memory about that trumpet feature was I remember the first time that we were playing it in a circle. It must have been like Adam City in like the groundhog field with a bunch of holes.
Yeah.
And stuff. We were doing the mixed circle, which is I think that must have came from Crown because we did that Crown as well. But I remember we repped it. Trumpets like we're not next to each other. It's like all around the entire circle. And Keith's just like, all right, let's hear it. He hit his score up, and then like the Mets going off, and then it just like everything just like tears apart.
Dude, hey, we got 2 solid bars.
Dude, everything tears apart. I'm trying to see if I have a book near me. He's just like looking at his score, and then he's just like, as it falls apart, he just like. Dude, I remember that. I thought that shit was so too. Funny, bro.
That's so good. Because like I felt like from my perspective, that feature never was clean until San Antonio. That in my perspective, I was like, that thing never was like in time together. It was a struggle all season for that and the mellow counter melody to that, basically like to line up. It was so hard for that thing to line up all season. Yeah. Even in the early season, like it would happen sometimes, but it was so inconsistent. Like when it would happen, it's like, oh, that's great. Save that and do whatever you just did and do it again. And then we would do it the next rep, and it was like, so what the hell happened? We were like, no, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I like thinking about it. Like my ear was just not good when I was young. It wasn't until I was maybe 18 or 19 where I could where my ear started working properly, and I was like tuning. I could like match tone and whatnot. I could hear dirt. When I was younger, those age when I was marching, I was just like, dude, what are they even cleaning? Like everything just sounds the exact same. Dude,
everything's fine. What's the problem?
Dude, I was just like, dude, spring training, the finals was like, I was just like, how do they rehearse this? Because like we're like doing the exact same thing. Like I don't think we've gotten any better. Yeah. I was like, bro, we started good and we ended good. Like, what's new?
What's the problem?
Like, bro, like, let's let bro like end block early, bro. Like, come on.
Are you killing me, bro? My stomach's gonna hurt at this shit. Dude, I'm just laughing. Moving forward, because I think I could just talk about like the little parts of that show all day. But something I want to ask is, what was something or maybe a moment for you that kind of like in your brain you were like, this summer is gonna be special, or this summer is special?
Probably the first time I got to speak with Daniel Belcher, like personally. It's like, dude, like seeing him in the videos and like him at the cams, like bro just like had this aura to him and he was just like so scary. It's like, I don't
scary.
Well, not like scary, but like it's kind of like how I think you talked about it with Austin the last.
It's like a commanding respect.
Like you look at the Blue Devils and you're like not scared of them, but like you just like
they move different. He moves different.
You see, it was like that was how it was with Daniel. Shout out to him for just like talking to like a young 17-year-old when he was 21. He just like had a phone conversation with me getting to the airport, and then I was just like, Daniel, like, how do you think the summer's gonna go? Like, how do you think the show's gonna go? He's just like, I think it's gonna be one of the best shows in BK's history.
Yeah, dude.
It's just like, dude,
just like, shout out Daniel Belcher first off. Dude. If you're listening right now, it was the same thing for me where it was just like, I don't know, no disrespect to any past, but Daniel Belcher was my favorite drum major like through all my years, just because I felt like I could just like, I didn't feel any sense of like disconnect or like scary like leadership person. I could just be like, yo, what's up, Daniel? Just like give him shit, just like joke around and stuff. And he was always just like the best guy.
Yeah.
You know? And so like, especially when him and Austin Green led the way early on with that whole like everybody's got to get to know each other. It's kind of like, meet 3 people before this block starts and get to know them, and then let's talk about what you learned about, like leading that way into like everybody getting to know each other. That was like one of the most important things for me about that summer.
Yeah, that's when I knew it was going to be special, just talking to him. And then also like I think we're actually going to Denver for my band trip. That's when they finally set out the MIDI for the opener. And I heard the opener for the first time. I was like, dude, this show's gonna fuck, bro. This show's it.
Heat, bro. Yeah, I'll never forget when we started like learning that show. We started putting everything together. I just never played a book like that before. And just listening, I wouldn't stop listening to MP3 all the time. I was just like, bro, I've never played a book this interesting and like so many details in it. It sounds so fun, and it sounds like nothing I've ever heard in DCI. I was just like, bro, this is sick. Like, this is gonna be so much fun.
And what a summer
especially when
we
they
had.
explain the show out. Oh yeah, absolutely. Talking about that summer, who were some people that were important to you in 2019?
Obviously you, like
Third Trumpet Section Gang.
Dude, Third Trumpet Gang, my C partner Bryce. I love Bryce so much because he was also an age out, and so I was just like worried about everything. He was just like, Joey, shut the fuck up. Like I was just like, dude, Joey, everything's gonna be alright.
I remember hearing that all the time.
He's just like, dude, Joey, shut the fuck up.
Joey, shut the
fuck up.
But like,
dude, you had talked about it with a couple of your guests. That you're just like the whole time you're just like, dude, am I good? Like, I'm sorry, I'm bad. Like, I was the same way, and I really think I might have been worse than you in that remark.
I was gonna ask you about that because I had a question down. It was like, why were we both so hard on yourself, on ourselves? And like, I remember both of us would do it. Like, if we were in Viz and we were doing like cross the floors, it would just be like, yo, can you check me out in this message? Like, bro, like, I don't even know. And like, we would both do that. And I was just like, I came out on the other side, and especially seeing where you've gone now, I was like, bro, why was it that way?
Dude, it's because how you told yourself. I don't remember exactly what you were saying, like leading up to like why you were so hard on yourself, but you felt like you needed to prove yourself. So same with myself. I felt like I needed to prove myself. Like, who am I, like this young 17-year-old, to show up to a world-class core and like be good? Like, I can be better. Like, I'm never gonna be good enough, Like, I have to be better. I have to prove that I'm
gotta do extra.
Yeah, because I'm 17. At least you had like 4 years of drum corps experience, like leading up to or 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I had a year at Guardians. That's all I had, and I'm thrown into the beast that's world class. So I was like, I want to show you guys that I belong here.
100%.
I was like super hard on myself. So
100%.
I'm so glad that I had like a good support group like you, Bryce, to just be like, Joey, shut up, you're fine.
Joey, shut up, you look good, dude.
And the Florida guys.
And the Florida boys. Shout out to Florida boys. I was just to say, you saw them last weekend, UCF Baylor. What a game, by the way. I just have to put that out there. What a game. Oh my God. Potential like play of the year in there, by the way, at the end of the game. Dude, and like call of the year. Call of the year by Erick Collins. Oh my God. I was watching. I flipped to the game in like the last minute and a half. And I was like, I started texting you. I was like, Joe, are you seeing this right now? Like, this is a game. And that last play where like UCF's quarterback, I think it was, just like rolls out and he goes back like 40 yards. And Erick Collins, the play-by-play commentator, is just losing his mind. He's just screaming. Quarterback just throws it 60 yards, just dot first down. I was like, wow. Blowing up Joey's phone. Are you seeing this?
Dude, when that happened, I was just like, I felt like early in the game, I was just like, oh, it's over. We're down 35-7. We're not coming back. Yeah. And then like we're up. I'm like, yo, let's go. And then they just get one first down. I'm like, oh, it's over.
Game.
It was so good to see those guys. I missed them.
I was gonna say, how was it down there? And shout out the boys, by the way.
Dude, Florida is a different animal. People in Florida are crazy. That's all I gotta say. And it's hot. But it was fun seeing Dylan and Tiger. I'm definitely going again soon.
Absolutely. Shout out the boys. We got to have them on the show soon. Got to have them on the show just for the laughs. They're amazing people. You got to have them on. You got to see them. Got to have them on the show. They're amazing. But as we move through the 19th season, talked a lot about the 19th season already. I think we've covered a lot in it. COVID obviously happens. And for you would be going into your third year in 2020. So when COVID kind of stops drum corps in general, what's going through your head? Because for me, going into like my fifth year, I was just like, oh my God, my world is crumbling around me. I'm going into my fifth year. What the hell's happening? For you, you're just like, oh, okay. Well, this thing, like what was it like on your end?
So I don't know if you remember, but I was contracted for 2020, but then like in January, I dropped out. Remember? I dropped out. Like, I was just like, I'm not going to do drum corps this summer. And it was the January camp where we found out that Kobe had died, where I had like, that's the camp that I was there at to say, I was just,
weren't you the one that like leaned over the rail and you're like, yo, Kobe just died. Like we were eating lunch. Yes. Or was it, it was like you and Tiger, like you guys were eating upstairs. I was like on the bottom level. I just remember you guys went over, you're like, yo, Kobe just died. And I was like, you're lying. You're lying, bro. I went upstairs. I was like, bro, show me your phone. I was like, you guys are lying right now. Dude. But yeah, that was like, dude, that was tough. Yeah, that was so tough. That
was a rough week. But I already talked to Keith that I was just like not feeling that I was going to do it that summer because I was about to be a senior in high school. It's like, you know what? I want to go to like a family trip to like Europe or something like that. We had talked about that after I graduated. And so that was the plan, maybe like find an internship. And so drum corps wasn't really on my mind in 2020. But then like COVID started popping up and I was just like, okay, I'm definitely not going to Europe anymore because Europe is just like on fire. And then I joined back. It was like weird. I like left, but then like Ken Adams and Keith and Matt Urbanik all like would talk to me on the phone for so long, trying to get me to come back. And then they eventually did. Literally 2 days later, that's when like the summer shut down. So yeah, I wasn't on the same boat as you in the sense that like my world around me was like crumbling, but I was sad about it because I wanted to like,
fun thing, want to do it again.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it if I wasn't gonna do it, but yeah. Even if I was going to do it, like I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to see my homies. Like I'm going to see my friends again this summer. So I didn't get to have that. So that was my 2020 season. So
for you, obviously 2021 happens. That's kind of like it feels like a limbo year for me whenever I like talk to somebody about it. Not that it's not like a real year or anything like that. Yeah, it felt like it was all just like thrown together. And it was like, hey, we're going to do like 2-3 weeks of spring training, and then you're going to do a 2-week tour, and we're going to get drum corps in the summer so we can like get back on the road, get that revenue back up, get people back in the stands, make shows happen, all the good stuff. And you didn't do 2021. I'm pretty sure you didn't. Nope. Yeah. Okay. And then I don't know. I think I said my piece on why I didn't do 21. We moved through 21. In 2022, it's a different time because this was going into my age out year. I didn't even know if I was going to come back to the activity until, like I had talked about in a previous episode, kind of got the message from Keith being like, hey, do you want to come back this year? Not a lot of people coming back, need some vets. I think it was the mix of like teaching and me being away from the activity for a while. I was like kind of getting that fire back in me, like being on the other side of the activity now and like teaching this group of kids. It was shout out Siegel High School. Shout out to David Adliff for giving me the opportunity. What an incredible teacher. Learned so much from him in just one season of teaching, but getting to do all of that, it just kind of reignited the fire, or at least I thought it did. And then that whole text came and I was like, oh, you know what? Inspired me right away for the age out year. Got to go do it. And I remember Keith was like, hey, try to get some vets in the room because there's a lot of rookies out here. So I literally just went through everybody in like the 19 chat, and I was like, yo, what you doing? If you're not aged out, what are you doing? What are you doing this weekend? Do you want to come? Like, and then I got to Joey and I was like, Joey, please. Joey, please. Everyone has said no. Everyone has said they're not doing drum corps anymore. I'm like, what? Please come to the camp. And you were just like, okay, I'll come. And I was like, wait, what? For real? I think we went to the December camp. It was.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the timeline of that. I don't remember. I know you texted me. I don't know if that was before I auditioned for BD or after.
I don't think we had done anything yet. I think this was just like, hey, let's go see what this is. And I think you had that on your mind. You're like, okay, well, I think I'm still going to go do this, like no matter what, but like I'll go to the camp. I think that's at the time you were like thinking about doing it, I'm pretty sure, but it was just like, okay, go to the camp, see what it's about. Think I'm still going to send an audition video in.
I don't think I sent a video for BK that summer or for that winter, but yeah, we did show up. I was definitely like on the same boat as you, where you're just like, do I want to do this anymore? Because I've been 2 years removed from it. The reason like I didn't do 21 was because the people that I got super close with, like the guys from Florida, you and a bunch of other people, like they weren't gonna do it. So I was just like, I'll probably just take another summer off, and see where we go from there. And then, like you said, it was like thrown together like super quick. So I was like, 44 days, like no competition, super expensive. Like, I'm like, do I want to do that? But then like
still full dues.
So when I found out my friends were going to do it, like my really close friends, I was just like, I'll take this summer off again.
Yeah.
And so 22, I was like, do I really want to do this activity again? And I was like debating whether I should do it or not. I was just like, you know what, I have to do it. And then I sent in an audition video for BD, and then I got a callback one, which is the higher one of their callback statuses. I know some groups do it. I'm going on like on a tangent right now, like leading up.
No, you're going in.
Yeah, leading into the 22 camp, and I showed up to the BD November camp.
That's right. That did happen before. Now, okay, now the timeline's starting to okay, I'm catching back up now. I do remember this.
I was fairly confident. The only thing I was worried about was that I'm like, I haven't done the thing 2-3 years, so I expect to be rusty, which was the case because I didn't end up making it that camp. I got cut that camp. And when I talked to like the brass and the bass guys about it, the brass guy, James Rocio, he was my trumpet tech this past summer. He just told me, he's just like, I could tell you're a good player. You're just inconsistent, dude. That was just like, it was like soul crushing for me.
Yeah.
And then I talked to the bass guys, and they're like, clearly move well, but you need to learn how to like tell a story with the way you move or something like that. Ooh. So like leading up into like the BK camp, like morale was at like an all-time low. Like my soul was just like crushed because like
at this point you have 2 years left and you just got told like, hey, inconsistent, needs work, and you're just like, oh yeah.
But like I was excited to show up for the BK 22 camp. I was like, I was excited to see you again. I was excited.
I was so happy you were there. I was like, thank God I got somebody at least that I know when I walk in the room. Cause like, I remember I got off the bus and I saw everybody in the airport and I drove over with a bunch of rookies, like telling them all about 19. And I remember I walked in and I was just like,
who are you? Dude, same for me. Like we were literally the only 19 bits in that trumpet section.
And like, that's fine. That's not the biggest problem in the world. It's just something about it. And I think we talked about it then. Can you remember what something just felt so off the entire weekend? I think we talked about it, and anybody else who was there from 19 that weekend. I remember specifically we talked to Jonathan Carenza Saturday night, and we were like, we FaceTimed, we were like, bro, something is just off and we don't know. We couldn't pinpoint it. We were just like,
dude, we were like so like flabbergasted. I remember you brought it up to Dylan. You just like briefly discussed it. You're just like, yeah, I'm not gonna feel it, but no, like we were just trying to figure it out. Like we're just
I can't even pinpoint it.
I think the high of 19 was so high. We got back to 19 and we were expecting like the culture to be the exact same way. And it wasn't. And nothing wrong with the 22 culture, but it just we got thrown in there and people, I think they're like already viewing us as super vets, but I'm like, dude, I only spent one summer here.
I did the summer here.
I was like, I wasn't here for the growth of the court leading up to this point. I feel so lost.
Yeah, and it's like also taking that much time out, like taking that time off from the activity and trying to come back and still like have the motivation to go through a whole off-season program and like do the whole commitment thing again. And at that point, when I had taken years off and coming back to that and just looking at it all again, I don't know, something about it that time when I came back, I was just like, I don't have to do this. I remember thinking about that during Viz Block. We were doing Viz Block, we were doing Across the Floors, and I was just like, there was the first time, freakiest thing that ever happened to me in drum corps. Sitting there, Across the Floors is happening, and I was just like, I don't have to do this. I was like, why am I here? And I was like, holy shit, why am I asking myself that right now? I was like, I shouldn't be doing that. And I was like, I need to go. I was like, I need to stop, because if this is what it is, I'm like, something's changed. And I remember I left and I was just like, I don't feel bad though. Like I had left the weekend and I was just like, I don't know. Like I went through everything. I thought it would bring back some fire and I did it. And I was like, no, it didn't bring it back for me. It didn't I don't know. I think it was a mix of, I had already done so much time up into that point and I had done it 14 basically to 19 years old. I don't know. It just taking that time off to actually reflect on what had just happened. I don't know. Maybe I did my time. And I was like, maybe that's it for me, honestly. But I think it was a different story for you, especially because you had only done 2 years. So I'm trying to max this thing out and I'm just trying to see where I can go with this thing, you know?
Yeah, that was such a puzzling weekend. We're just like, what is it? We couldn't figure it out. But
yeah.
But we weren't the only ones because, like you said, Jonathan felt the exact same way.
Absolutely. Obviously, we just talked about the whole story with just that whole 2022 camp with BK, and we move on from there. And I decide I'm going to drop out for the summer. I'm just like, hey, I know it's my A job, not happening for me. But for you, on the other hand, I remember I was just like, keep me up to date with whatever you're doing, because I'm supporting 100%. Go do what you got to do. And from there, how does Carolina Crown come into the picture for this summer?
I just got COVID after we left that BK camp. Remember, I got COVID. So I was out of commission for a week, but what happened with ending up at Crown was Baylor was playing in the Sugar Bowl, and so I was so lucky that I ended up making the trip. I'm thinking about it now, my life the last 3 years would have been so much different if I got COVID a couple days later. I went to the Sugar Bowl with Baylor, and they played Ole Miss in New Orleans, and fun trip. And we won the Sugar Bowl, so it was a sick trip. We were driving to Houston from New Orleans, and one of the trumpet players in the Baylor band with me marched Crown at 21. She did Project 21, and she was going to do it again for 22. And so I was telling her about what we were talking about. I was just I didn't make BD, so I'm my heart's broken about that still. But I was excited to go back to BK, and we went to the camp, and something was missing. It just didn't feel right. And I was telling her, I was like, I don't know if I want to march, but I'm like, maybe I should just go with the summer because I only got 2 years of this left. I don't want to waste I don't want to throw my last couple of years away. I still want to do this. She was just like, well, why don't you come to Crown? I was like, are there spots open? She was like, yeah, we got spots open. She was like, we don't have any lead trumpet spots anymore. I'm like, that's fine. I'll still show up to the camp. I was like, oh, so what is it? Because I was expecting it to be in a month. She was like, oh, it's next week. And I was like, huh? I was just like, in that moment, I was just like, well, I have nothing to lose by trying. I was like, I'm probably going to get cut because I only have a week to practice. So I was just like, you know what? We ball. So I was just like, sure, I'll show up. And I signed up for the camp. I emailed Matt Harloff. So the same stuff that I played for BD. I just told him, I was just like, March BK in 19, Guardians in 18. Seeing if there's an opportunity to join Crown, because you know, the excellent Hornland, you have a legacy of excellence, and I'd love to be a part of it. And he invited me to the camp, and going into the camp, I was like, dude, I'm gonna get cut. A week to prepare, there's no way.
Classic Joey, bro. I'm gonna get cut.
But it wasn't in the same sense going to that BK camp where I was super stressed. It was more I had no time. I was just like, I'm gonna get cut, whatever. Nothing. I'm just gonna show up. It won't. It's not gonna hurt to show up. So I practiced the stuff that I had sent to Matt because I thought that was going to be part of my audition. My friend who invited me to the camp, she texted me. She was like, so have you worked on your on the move? I was like, what's that? And then she sent me the on the move assignment, and it was that double tonguing part that we had in part 2. Then it was
we're gonna get to that
made up drill, and I had to do that on the move. I'm like, that's my audition. It's Wednesday night before Friday before the camp, or Tuesday or something like that. I'm like,
here we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna get cut. And so I showed up to camp, not even nervous. I said hi to the people that I knew because I think I knew like 2 people maybe going into that camp. I knew her and her boyfriend. I actually saw Gabe Azetta at that camp.
Nice! Shout out Gabe.
We get to the like individual audition part, the on the move. Dude, this is like I just put myself out there. I just seen the videos like how Matt is, like the intensity and the fire that he has like in those like circle videos. So I was like, I think I know what he wants. So he was like, all right, who's gonna go first? Silence. I was like, me. Me.
Because at that point, you're just like, fuck it, we ball.
Because so he's like,
who cares?
All right, go ahead and play it.
Is this in front of everybody, or is this just like your
in front of all the second trumpets, Matt and Corey Futrell, and this trumpet player named Gilbert Villagrana. I don't know if you remember that name earlier in the episode.
Yes. Yes.
He's the trumpet player from my high school that was my idol. Full circle moment.
Wow.
Another one of my drum corps inspirations. Gilbert, March Crown, 14, 15, 16. I found that out at high school, and I was like, dude, that's so cool. Yeah. And so I saw him again, and it was like a full circle moment. I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. And like, I was more nervous for that because I was like,
I'm playing.
That was like him. I wasn't nervous to play in front of like all the trumpets, Matt and Corey. I was worried about him because like that's the guy I looked up to. Yeah, and he was a tech there, and he was also the trumpet soloist in 2016. That was him, Gilbert.
Oh, okay, damn.
So that was that guy. So I did my on the move. It went pretty good. It went fairly well, and I just walked away. Like Matt shooed me off. I was just like, I forgot who I asked. And he's just like, how do I do? And he's just like, shut up. He's just like, bro, you did fine. And I was like, okay. And then I just like went about my business that camp. And then like we actually ended up ending camp early because there was like a blizzard in South Carolina. And I got stuck in the Carolinas for like 2 days, 2 extra days, like in a hotel room with my friend from Baylor, her boyfriend, and then one more girl from the Netherlands. And I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna get cut, but like whatever. I'm chilling with my friends in a hotel room, and then I found out I'd made it like on the Facebook. I was just like, well,
here we go. Here we go from here. How hard is that off-season program for Carolina Crown? Because that just sounded like a grind, bro. And I bet it is because I mean, bro, when you have that standard of excellence, especially in the brass program, like got to work every year to try to like raise the bar every single year. So it's just got to be more grind, you know?
Yeah, it was tough. The minimum amount of video assignments we would have each week was about like 5 or 6.
Good Lord.
It was every week from January all the way to May, just like 6 at the least video assignments. Like there'd be like back-to-back weeks where we have like 12 or 13. And it got to a point, I was so overwhelmed with school and life, like I wasn't in the best place mentally at the time.
Absolutely.
But it got to a point where I was just like, I'm not going to march this summer. Like I was just like, nope. Not gonna march this summer. I talked to my friend about it. I talked to Jesse Saldana, who was my section leader that year, the soloist, and he basically just talked me out of it. I'm so glad he did because like I don't know where I would have been like without it. I'm just pulling up real quick. I don't know if you could see, but I just want to show you like
all your video assignments. This is just Crown.
Dude, still Crown.
Still going Crown.
Yeah. Dude, yeah.
Oh my
it was
Lord.
A grind.
Coming from a West Coast core that kind of brands itself on like vibes and the membership experience is like the number one priority. Yeah. What's it like going into now an East Coast group that has this history and a standard of excellence, and they're in the middle of building this brass dynasty that they've built since like it's like at this point it's like a 10-12 year dynasty of just brass excellence. What's it like stepping in a room like that now compared to where you had just been at Blue Knights?
Dude, it was like a completely different beast. That was like that was my first time and only time I've done East Coast drum corps. The culture of it is so much different, just like the way the rehearsals are ran compared to what I'd done in the West Coast. But it was a little bit easier for me to adjust to the brass program because I had Keith and the rest
most
of
our brass staff was Crown. Like old
so whenever we would do something at Crown, there were times where I wouldn't even have to look at the technique packet because I already knew it from Keith. So like I was prepared for it. Yeah, it was a completely different beast.
Moving on to tour, what's it like going into your second year and you're, like you explained earlier, you're just happy to be here, top 12, top 8. It's like, dude, I think we're fine. Like, we're just rocking and rolling here. To now we're like top 5, top 3. We're fighting every single night for like the top spot. What are the vibes like when that's happening on tour? Because I mean, when you're like we were in 19, we're kind of just like, oh yeah, let's just make the show the best it can and let's just try to beat a couple people ahead of us. But when you're at that spot, talk about what that's like.
Yeah, it was my first time doing top 4 drum corps. Like around top 4, top 6 is where it gets like super, super competitive. I'm not gonna lie, it was super stressful at times because it was really stressful, especially like in the second half of tour, because in the beginning we were pretty much cruising the entire time because we hadn't gone against BD. We saw Boston like maybe once, Codes once, and we happened to do fairly well. So, but it was still like really stressful because my ear was way better. I was older.
Yes.
I was a different person than I was when I was 17. I was 20 years old. And so I wasn't like, dude, everything's fine. So like the whole time I was just like, dude, like we got to get better. Like we're still dirty. We need to get better.
Day.
So I was just like, it was just like really stressful. And sometimes looking back at it, like I really wish I didn't do that much because I think that was one of the things that maybe made my summer harder than it needed to be.
Yeah.
It was just like I was too focused on the scores. I was stressing about it too much, you know?
Yeah. Was there pressure from the outside though to like live up to this brand of Carolina Crown and our brass program is the best brass program in DCI? Was there that outside pressure coming from like staff and people and members?
Yep, there definitely was.
I imagine there has to be. I mean, when you're that excellent for that long, and it's kind of an expectation, no matter where you place it, you're gonna get a brass trophy. That like there has to be so much pressure on not just your overall score, but then it dives into captions every single night.
Yeah, like
that's got to be even more stressful.
Yeah, 2022 Crown at the time was basically the reigning Jimot winners. We had an expectation to bring the Jimmy home. Like Jimmy was going to come home. Yeah, the pressure was brought on to the members, definitely by members who had done 2019 and had experienced a Jimot winning summer, and of course by the staff.
Yeah, and talking about the staff, I think everyone wants to hear about this a little bit and let us a little inside the world, maybe a little bit. I think we've seen the guy, we've seen him in the videos. We know he's got the Infinity Gauntlet. He's got all the things. Everyone who plays a brass instrument and you know about marching band in general and drum corps, you know his name, Matt Harloff. Can you just tell us what's he like? We know him from all the videos and stuff, but can you talk about how he is just the dude, Matt Harloff, rehearsal wise? What's he like?
At first, yeah, when you show up to the camp, you're like, dang, that's Matt Harloff. You know, this guy has brought excellence to the Crown horn line since he had been there. He had joined in 2003, so it was like year 19. He's just like building on like legacy of excellence, and not just in Crown, but like in high school, because he's one of the Avon band directors. So this dude, he's such a great teacher, and like he clearly knows what he's doing. Yeah. And so I gotta be upfront, like Matt is a funny guy. Matt is so funny. Like
that's awesome.
Matt is such a goofball. Some of the noises that would come out of his mouth would just be so funny. We'd like play a rep and maybe someone would crack and he'd just be like, oh! He'd just be like, oh! You just like start barking and stuff. And like it would like whenever he do like brass on the move or whatnot, he would go up to the box. He wouldn't even bring a megaphone. He just get like find a cone and he's just like, all right, we're gonna run this assignment. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Matt was a goofball. Like it was scary at first because like my first rehearsal in spring training ever with Matt was basically a crown beating. Like I have a picture in my Snapchat where it's just experienced my first crown beating where I'm just like drenched in sweat, just like look traumatized because like dude, we went hard that block. And then like the next video is him just like running around with like water cups, just like handing them people. So yeah, dude, Matt is a funny guy, but I definitely have a lot of respect for Matt because there were times where you would like get angry at the stuff that you were saying, but like that's what he wanted from you. He was like, I want you to be angry. I want you to fight back. So like Matt knows how to like light a fire in you, you know?
Yeah.
So
huge.
Like Like I have a lot of respect for Matt Harloff. And I like the whole time I'd watch Matt Harloff. The whole time I was being taught by Matt Harloff, I would see Keith a lot. I was just like, yo, this is literally just like other Keith.
Older Keith. Like, that's awesome, dude. That's so awesome. I'm glad to know that he's like a goofball and not like, because I mean the only reference I have is just videos, kind of seeing just like as a member seeing him like from afar, and I'm just like, not knowing I'm glad he's a goofball sometimes, so that's awesome. And obviously with that standard of excellence at some point, you know what I'm saying, like, it's a lot of work being put into that. But something I want to talk about on a Carolina Crown tour, you guys have one of the coolest home shows, especially the venue of it. What's it like to do NightBeat as like a Carolina Crown member? Because we did it in 2019 for Blue Nights. We did NightBeat and that was fun, all the good things. But what's it like when you're a part of that group, Carolina Crown?
I was so excited to do NightBeat because Crown is a crowd favored. Like people get on their feet for Crown because, like, of course, because of the horn lines that they produce. It's like that's drum corps, That's like, oh,
we want to see that.
I got to do Crown Beat, so I got to experience a little bit about it. San Antonio is when we first got like a huge like reception from the crowd.
Yeah.
And so NightBeat, we were so ready. I was so excited for NightBeat. I got to rehearse in Wake Forest. I got to see the Dick Titty plaque.
Hey, let's go.
And ready for NightBeat. I need to burst your bubble a little bit, Jeff, but we didn't get to do NightBeat.
Wait, I thought we did in 19. No,
in 22 we didn't do NightBeat. Crown, we got rained out.
Oh, did they do like the 2-part night or something like that? Was that what happened, or was it just like got rained out?
It was like every corps had gone on, and like Blue Devils were right before us. There was like inclement weather inbound. And so the corps directors, Pat Seidling and Jim Coates, were talking. They just both decided to call the show. And so dude, it was
never got to do it.
That was such a disappointing night for a lot of us. Because
you totally led me up there, like you were.
I know,
and I forgot. Like you led me in. I was like, yeah, let's hear. Oh,
yeah. And
it's hilarious. Oh
what made it sting even more was that I was outside the entire time because our food truck is parked there and whatnot because we were rehearsing there. I ate, not a single drop of rain or lightning ever happened.
As soon as you just went.
So like it just felt like that was another like soul crushing moment of that summer because we were like looking forward to that so much.
I got a couple questions about that show. Let's just start from the top. How is this concept of the show explained to you guys? Like uniforms, music, the whole ordeal. If you can recall.
I recall. I have trouble understanding what the concept of the show was. I struggled with that like all the summer. What we were told about the show right here, right now, was that it's all about living in the moment right here, right now. And the inspiration from the show came from, if you ever go to a Jacob Collier concert, he like gets the crowd involved, like, and then the crowd starts making the show. So that was the idea for this show. Like we were going to have parts where the audience would clap with some like in sync with some of the parts of the show that was happening. They would snap like during the ballad to like create the sound effect of raindrops. And then we had like the whole like pre-show thing where like one half of the stadium was clapping, the other
whole
shouting,
QR thing.
Yeah, and then like the QR, the flashlights going off in sync. And so
was that an every show thing, or was that just like a dome show regional thing?
That was every show because we had an app that was synced to the QR code.
That's awesome.
And so that was just basically how the show was explained to us. That it was like all about audience participation and
getting them involved.
What I thought the show was supposed to be was that it's going to be different for every single audience because you have to be there in the moment to experience like what we give you. The reason like a lot of fabric was used in the show was because fabric has a mind of its own. Like it's not gonna like be the same every single time. So the way the designer explained it to us was that the fabric might be at this angle one show, it might be at a different angle the other show. So it's like the show is different every single time.
Every single time.
For the audience.
Which I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that's how it was explained to us. There are a lot of times where I was like, is that really happening? I was like, okay, what am I supposed to be feeling here? Like, I was like really confused a lot of the times performing the show, you know?
Yeah, because it's just kind of like, oh, well, it's for the audience. And it's just like kind of like based, be in the moment. Okay, listen, I got to say it because I watched it again tonight. I remember watching it all the time. And I need you to tell the people how hard that part 2, like multiple tonguing, and then into the little like slur section with the E to G, dude, like on the slide. On the yes, bro. Like, I don't think people understand like how easy you guys made that sound and look, because like, bro, the slur E to G that fast on a slide, like, ew, that's nasty. Like, I remember watching, I was like, what? Like, that's gross.
Dude.
In the best way.
Yeah. It was the hardest brass book I've ever played, for sure. It was so hard. We were cleaning that show the entire summer. Like, it was never clean enough. Like, everything like finally came together. Like, on finals night was when we were like, okay, that was the show. That's Crown Brass. So yeah, dude, that book was a monster of its own.
Yeah, you can still see it. Like, there's a video I watched last night. There was like the semifinals lot, and you can still see, like, even in the lot, like just timing of like certain sections, especially that section, just still trying to like lock that in. It's still, you know what I'm saying? It's just like that book's hard, dude. I feel like that was just insane. The ballad was beautiful. And a question I have about the ballad, beautiful ballad, but how many times did you guys have to work with those spots? Like, how long did it take for that just to like, and like, was it consistent? How does someone not fuck that up? Like, not getting to the correct spot, the correct hole to like pop out of,
I'm gonna be
question
real.
Probably from me.
No. It's all good, because it definitely did happen, or like someone might have gone to the wrong hole, or like maybe a collision happens into the fabric. But like, I'm gonna be real, dude. It was really a nightmare trying to figure out how to stage that ballad with a big old fabric like that.
That was insane.
From the moment we got the fabric up until like Allentown, we basically were like staging every single day in Viz blocks, trying to figure out how to make it work,
Yeah.
So
getting into it and getting out of it.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on it. It was so stressful. Yeah, man, it was a nightmare.
Like, it looks so cool, and like I said, like, you guys just made that show, like, you watch it back finals night, and that's the thing, like, everybody's got to realize, and I think that's why it's so cool to have members on, because so many people will just watch the video and be like, bro, you guys just make it look so easy. I'm like, dude, listen to, like, ask them and listen to what goes into every single day. That moment that you really liked, that took all summer for it to look just like that and sound just like that. So it's like, for me, I remember, like, I would watch that ballad hit, and I would like watch the tarp, and like all I kept asking was, how many times are they working on that, like, every day for staging? Like, how hard is that? Because I know that's not easy. That's not easy at all. It's like, how does that? So that's why I gotta ask about like the EG slurs. I'm like, bro, you gotta tell the people how hard and how much, like, how hard that is and how hard that is to like execute and how much work goes into that.
It was so tough. Like, that was the hardest summer in my drum corps career, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. Because it was not an easy show. Like, the drill was stupid hard. The book was hard. Like, even the ballad, maybe not like as like high velocity as like the rest of the show, but man, like, trying to figure out what we were gonna do, making sure nothing went wrong. Like, there are times when we were rehearsing, like, a gust of wind would somehow sneak under the fabric, and it's just like a big old like hot air balloon. It's just like in the sky
above your arms, and you're just like, oh.
Dude, no, like, I'm telling you, it was like, it would like fly up, like, and the corners would be held by like some people, and it's like 30-40 feet above your head. Like, I'm not even lying. It would like fly, because dude, it was a big piece of fabric, so any like bit of wind, like, it's gonna fly. And so like that would happen when we were trying to rehearse with it and stage, and it would just like delay everything.
Why didn't that show medal? What happened finals week? Because I feel like that show just had like fan favorite written all over it. And can we just talk about real quick how like the tie? There should just never be a tie in drum corps ever. I'm telling you, if you're the judges, stupid brain over here is just going to say it out loud, but there should just never be a tie. 1, 2, 3, like, for 2 and 3, how can they have the same score? Like, we go all season, everybody's got a same score, no ties. We get to finals night, there just so happens to be a tie for second and third. I'm telling you right now.
2 nights in a row.
I'm just telling you guys, that just doesn't happen. Crown you should have medaled for that show. The way you got the crowd involved every single night, watching that finals performance back, the energy that's bouncing off the field, you can feel it from home. Like I would watch it every regional, tune in, watch it. You could feel the energy. So I'm just like, bro, I'm just going to say it. Y'all got cheated. Everyone can come after me in the comments. I don't care. Y'all got cheated. Y'all got cheated, bro. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, we definitely felt that way because we were in second place for a good part of the beginning of the tour.
Yes.
And San Antonio was the first time we got bumped to third. We got fourth like at one other show. It was like really random. Like I didn't do that show. I was out because I was on concussion protocol. that's how rough my summer went.
How did that all happen?
It was just like that infinity set that we were doing in the beginning where we're like running. Someone misunderstood the instructions. Like I guess the instructions weren't clear. They stopped early, and like in that moment, like you're not facing up, like you're facing down, like running, and then like a traffic jam happened. I ran into them, and then like flipped and just like bounced my head off the back of the turf. So, like and then what's crazy was that like I rehearsed the next day, the first 2 blocks. I thought I was sick, and then I got to like that last block, and then like I like threw up, and I'm like, I'm out. And I was just out for like 2 more
concussion
days.
Actually.
So we're in like third place still, leading up into those last 3 nights, and then in Allentown we ended up in second. I know it was like 2 nights different, but we were still like in second place. And then we got to the prelims, we placed fourth. We were all just as shocked as you. We were like
I was shocked the entire time because I was just like, bro, how are you not like the crowd is giving it up every single night? They're playing the hell out of this book. This book is hard. This book is not easy. This drill is not easy. They're executing at a high level. This is a top 3 show. Like no matter where you put them, this is a top 3 show. Guaranteed. So that was just it's like it was just so like it blew my mind.
No disrespect to Boston and Bluecoats though, they had phenomenal shows too. I think
absolutely.
I think they did their show really well. I think the reason like maybe we didn't medal was just I don't think we were gonna get done visually, like in those last weeks. If you watch the finals performance, you could see like parts that still weren't clean, that parts that we were still working on the entire summer. We just didn't execute it that well. I think that was what was like the last nail in the coffin. It was really disappointing. I really wanted to medal that show.
It's tough because it just deserved it.
Yeah, we put so much work in. You
just want that credit.
And we also didn't get the brass trophy, so that was another thing.
Oh, I forgot. Didn't that go to Boston?
No, I went to BD.
Oh, true. Facts.
Yeah, so
facts.
That's why I say I made this summer harder than it need to be because I was focused too much on like, winning a brass trophy, winning a medal, when I should have been focused on just like having a good time, And so by the end of the summer, I left. I was disappointed how the summer went. Like I wasn't happy, and I basically made my summer worse than it really was,
Yeah. What's something that you took away from that summer? What's something that you learned?
I learned that I'm truly a better performer than I thought I was, Because leading into BK17, I was doubting myself.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt that a lot in 22, but I just wasn't as vocal about it. I was doubting myself. But it wasn't until like the last maybe couple of weeks of the summer where I stopped overthinking everything, and I realized, I'm like, I belong here. I worked my ass to get here. Look where I'm at now, and I'm going to do the thing,
Yeah. I was going to say, because like looking back, this probably just comes from like growing up, but coming from someone who just had started Guardians in 2018, you did 2019 Blue Knights. Was that the moment for you that the confidence just like shoots through the roof and you're like, you know what? I actually am that good, or was it just like a period of growing up, or was it just kind of a moment where you just decided like, hey, I'm going to go be great?
Yeah, it's definitely a period. Well, obviously there's like growing up that goes into it, but there was like moment where I realized that I was great,
Absolutely. 100%. Coming off of that season, you are heading into your age out. What's the decision to go to BD? Is it just like, this is the age out, this has been a goal, I got to go do it, got to go get the revenge from last year, got to go prove them wrong? Like, what's the vibe?
It was definitely in the back of my mind during Crown. I was like, what am I going to do my age out year, Because the dream had always been to go to BD. The last guest, I wanted to be a BD lead trumpet. But I wasn't going to be vocal about it at Crown because I had a job to do. So I didn't want to like tell anybody 100%. About that. So I don't think it's fair to them. I don't want to say that there was like revenge from 22, but I felt like I had something to prove again to myself and to BD because they thought I wasn't fit or just like I wasn't ready for the 22 season, but it was still a dream. And going into Crown, I thought that I was going to age out there. I was like, I'm going to age out here. I basically hinted during the conversation. I didn't have a great summer in 22. That was basically like the bottom of it. I just didn't have a good time. It was a rough summer. Other than like the placements, it was just rough, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that might have been like coming from West Coast, going into East Coast, experiencing that. That might have like contributed into that. I didn't think I fit. It wasn't the right fit, you know.
Wasn't your vibe.
But I don't disregard anything that I took from Crown. I learned so much from them, and they have all my respect, and it's such a great organization. I'm so glad I went there because some of my best friends that I still talk to every day came from there. I don't know where I would be without them. So
100%.
I was struggling August to like November. I was like, what am I going to do for my HO? Go back to Crown. But I know deep down I felt like it just wasn't the fit, you know. But the dream is still BD, you know. Like, I
100%.
always want to be a Blue Devil. You see them at the shows, like how we talked about earlier. It's just like the uniforms, the way they stand, the way they do everything. It's just, you want to do that, you know?
Yes, 100%.
And I wanted to be that way. I never experienced anyone booing BD, and we didn't get booed. So I wish we got to experience that, but the dream was still there. I was like, I got it. I think I got to fulfill my dream.
Absolutely.
And, I really did try to come back to Crown in 23. I told some of the staff how I felt. I was just like, you know, it was just a rough summer, and they agreed. It wasn't, not everything went well. Staff had a hard time too. A lot of them were understanding about it. You know, they're just like, listen, it's drum corps. You're allowed to go wherever you want. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And you've been hitting at that like the last couple of episodes. Like maybe like in the past, there used to be like a feeling they're just like, how dare you leave?
The activity's moving in a new direction where it's like the individual's dreams and journey. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a lot different. While all these corps are looking to still build and like compete and all that stuff, there is an understanding of this person's dream is okay if it's not with us.
I've told you a couple times, but BD would have been my fourth group and was my fourth group.
In 4 years.
Drum corps, never being a vet, and I think that's my biggest regret. I wish I could have spent more time at a group. I don't want to seem like I was just hopping around. I think it was just like the timing, especially with COVID. Had COVID not happened, I probably would have still been at BK, and then who knows what would have happened after that.
Right.
And so,
yeah, but that makes sense, 100%.
I decided I finally made a decision that I was gonna audition for BD again, and I sent in a video, and they gave me a callback on again, and I worked so hard for that. You know, I was practicing like every day, dancing, moving, playing.
Yeah,
I was doing everything. I was working so hard. I showed up to the camp. There's definitely nerves, but I decided that I was there and I was just gonna own it, and that's when I did. No nerves, no fear. I did everything that I had to do. And they felt that I showed enough to bring me on this summer. And they brought me on for that summer. And I'm so glad that they did. I finally had done what I had really wanted to do. I was finally a Blue Devil.
And you killed it, and you owned every second of that, dude. And I was just so proud getting to watch and getting to see you do it. Like when I got to go see you in Murfreesboro, I was like, I know they rehearsed there. I was like, bro, I have to go see him, because I was just like, he's doing it. He's living the dream. He's just doing it. He's accomplishing it. He had this goal. He had this dream. He's doing it. Got to go support the boy. 100%. It was so cool. Like, it was so cool because I don't think I had seen you since that December camp, like, actually in person. Yeah. So I was just so happy. I was with my good friend Andrew Parsley. Shout out Andrew. We walked in, and it was so dope. Just looking out on the field and just seeing you like living your dream. All this hard work that you've had, and it's all paying off right now. I was just so happy. I was like, bro, let's go to the top. Let's go watch Joey. Let's just go watch Joey kill it, bro, because he's doing it. And then come to find out, I'm watching the rehearsal. I'm like, is that Joey doing the solo? Oh, that is Joe. Like, me and Andrew, the first 20 minutes is me and Andrew just looking at each other going, no, I think that's him. I think that's him. And so we come to find out this is you doing like the lead, like the whole like screamer shake solo up top. Like it was insane, bro. So question about that. How do you get the solo and how do you hop on lead?
Bro, I had been a lead trumpet player like since like after Guardians. I'd always been able to like play high, but I didn't figure out how to play lead until like after that summer. And it was when I was a lead trumpet for jazz band. I got thrown on Spain and I was like, dub G's, I can't play no dub G's. Like this is crazy. Yeah. And then he like moved me down partials and I got so mad about it. Like, trust me, this story is gonna like this story is gonna like help you like understand getting that solo. I was so mad I got moved down partials and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna prove my band director wrong. I bought like a Bobby Shoe mouthpiece on Amazon, like had it like express delivered. I got it. I was like, all right, it's time to play high. And I couldn't. And I was there for like 15 minutes and I couldn't play high and I was getting so mad. I was like, it got to a point where I was just getting so mad that I just like played super angry through my horn and eventually like the fattest F's and like G's came out and I was like, oh, that's how you do it. That's where I figured out how to play lead. Now going 5 years into the future, I had been playing lead for the camps. And like some of the vets at the camps that I was sitting next to, they're just like, "Damn, you're loud." I'm like, "Thanks." I was just like, I'm just doing my thing, you know. I'm just playing my part to the best I can. And I was sending video assignments on upper split lead. Come March camp, they're like, "All right, we're gonna set the line because it was like T1 through T24. That's how the order of the arc is gonna be set." And I think it's like top 4 trumpets are the upper split leads, or is like how we understand who will be upper split and bottom split. And that camp, they put me on T4 in the arc, so that meant I was going to be playing upper lead. So I was like, okay, bet. I'm excited. So that camp, I had heard that solo like in February camp. Patrick Newman, shout out Patrick. There's the screamer soloist in the ballad and the ballad in 22. Fantastic trumpet player. He's so good. He was playing it in February, and I was just like, dude, I want to play that solo. That solo sounds cool. And he was skipping March camp because it was in Texas, so it's just going to be like harder for him to travel. Yeah. And so through that camp, I was like, okay, I'm going to prepare it. Like I'm going to learn it so that way, like the arrangers can like hear it played because the person who was playing it, Patrick, wasn't at the camps. It was like we hadn't played it like that Friday or Saturday. That's when we finally added the solo in. Jeriel was playing it at first. We split it. He was just like, Joey, you play really loud G's. I'm going to play the shake part and you play the G. And I was like, okay. But like I had never like taken a crack at it in front of the horn line. I was so, I was so nervous. I was just like, I was like, shit. I was just like, oh. Here we go. And then I play like a super loud G. And then we finished the rep, and then I just like I just went on about my business, just another rep. And Chip Crosseye brass caption head, love Chip. He just
shout out Chip.
Over. He's just like, that's a pretty loud G.
Said it's you.
He's like, that's a pretty loud G. He's like, we're gonna have some competition for that. And it's just like, okay. And then April camp, I played it again, and they're all just like, God damn, Joey, how you play that so loud? I'm just like, dude, I don't know. I'm just playing. I'm just doing it. So come all days when we like move into University of Wyoming, me and Patrick have been switching off of it for a while. We were like, when are they gonna figure it out? Like we were just having like friendly competition. We weren't just like it wasn't toxic. We were just like having fun with it because like we'd switch off and we'd be like, damn, he played it loud. Damn, he played it loud. You know, it was really fun. And we were just like, okay, they're like, we were just like, okay, they're gonna figure out who's gonna play it.
Who's doing it? Yeah.
We had already staged that part of the show. And during that part, I was like jazz running and marching. And Patrick was standing still and had a part where he would move. So we're just like, they better like figure out who's going to play it because like they're going to have to like restage everything. And they're going to have to pull him out and put him on a prop. And then we're just like, okay, we're running out of our first show is like in a week and a half. It's happening. Like, we got to figure it out. And Jay Murphy is like the head visual designer of the Blue Devils, older guy, but like he doesn't really say anything. He's like, I want to pick his brain apart. Yeah, he doesn't say much. He just drinks Mountain Dew, just watches us like this. He's just looking at us. And then like Jamie Holly will pick his brain apart, then like actually stage what's happening. Yeah. And Chip was like, okay, so at this part we're having this like trumpet solo, and he's showing the trumpet solo. He's just like, okay, so we're gonna have. Is there a way we can just like pull him out? Have him like go on a proper in front of the horn line. And Jay's just like, I'm not gonna pull someone out for a G. What's wrong with you? And I was just like,
so how are we doing this?
but Patrick, for like the first part of the solo, he was like standing still, so he would have been able to play it standing still, no problem. I, on the other hand, was freaking jazz running like through a diag, so a very tight diag. I thought I was gonna have to like switch spots. So one day we had been like practicing in that form, like just mark time, and Chip was just like, "All right, Joey, you play the solo this time." I'm like, "Okay," because we were just like normally doing the normal switch offs, and he was just like on the move this time, and I'm like, "Wait, like I'm jazz running this part." He looked at me, he's just like, "So what?" And I'm like, I'm jazz running. How do you think I'm gonna be able to play this? And he's just like, okay, Patrick, play it. And then like going back,
that would piss me off. That would piss me off, bro.
Going back to when I got moved down parts in back in high school. That moment where I got so angry and I was just like, I looked at Chip. I'm like, okay, bet. I was like, let's do the rep. And then I did it. I played that part, shaking like jazz running on the move. I just heard like I passed Patrick in that part, and I could just hear him like mid rep, just like laughing, and then everyone was just like, "Did Joey just do that?" And I was like, "Did I just do that?" I was like so confused. Come a couple more days, we're still switching off. We're like, "Hey, you have a show in like 3 days.
It's happening."
And we were like, we still didn't know, and we were in that tower part at the end of the opener where we had that choreography during the drum break. I was talking to a mellophone player she was 17. She was so talented. She was telling me, she was like, "Joe, I'm not gonna lie, you're like one of the best lead players I've ever heard." I'm like, "Thanks," but I guess I don't have a solo. And like right after that, they called me up. They're like, "Where's Joey?" And I'm like, I raised my hand. They're like, "You got to go get mic'd up." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And that's when I finally figured out that I had a solo for that part.
Oh my god, dude, that's an awesome story, by the way. I'm glad it wasn't just like, February camp, but kind of just played, and they're like, "It's you." Like, no, that took like a whole like thing. That's so cool. That's insane. But you mentioned,
I really preferred it if I was standing on a prop. It would have been so much easier. Like,
but if you go, everyone's got to go watch Joey's GoPro run from this past season up on YouTube. Got to go watch that part to see how hard that part was. I mean, watching it over and over, I was like, how the hell does he do that? You got to go watch it. It's insane. It goes hard.
I was like pretty spot on, not spot on, but I was like pretty consistent about it. I think my worst I wish I could have back was actually finals day. I didn't think my G on finals was that good. I think
like the encore one or the
encore one was terrible, bro. Dude,
I was gonna say,
dude, encore. If that was a question, honestly I don't really care because it's encore run. I don't care we already run. Anyway,
who cares,
dude? It was our third run of the day because we do a run through before the show. We did the show and an encore. My face was done. That was the end of the summer. Like I had nothing left. And we're the encore, and I completely bricked it. I was like, damn. Oh well. I
already won
on finals day. Finals run, my face was like starting to give out. If I was like on a prop standing still, it would have been a lot easier. I think I pushed myself a little bit too much. I played it in rehearsal. I was playing like every note in the show because I wasn't going to not play notes. I was going to play all my book and my solo. And it didn't come out as good on finals day. I think flow marching makes it sound worse than it actually was. But I don't think a lot of people think it was that bad. But maybe it's just...
No, it wasn't. It sounded great.
I think for my standard, I was just like, I've played that so much better. But
no, I get that. I get that.
That's the only one I wish I had back.
Something you mentioned in there, which I want to hit on real quick, because I told you after Murfreesboro rehearsal, and it still reigns true. My favorite part of the show probably is that like human pyramid set basically that happens. Like a tower set, I guess you should say. It's not a pyramid, it's a tower.
Yeah, we called it a tower set.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't even want to try to describe it. I just want to ask you, how did that set come together and how does that moment get taught to you guys?
That part of the show, it's the third part of the show, but we had 3 stages. It's part 3 of stage 1. That part is called Icarus. Icarus is one of the art pieces Henri Matisse that he did.
What's your editor's name?
Erick.
Erick, insert Henri Matisse's Icarus right here.
Mm-hmm.
So
right there.
So the story of Icarus is a boy who was ambitious and he made wings out of wax and he flew too close to the sun and then he like fell to his death or something like that.
Oh my
And
God.
so Henri Matisse had declining health and he couldn't paint like he used to, so he resorted to making cutouts and shapes and whatnot. And so that was one of his more famous works of art that he did. And so you see it's like a black figure, and in the back you see like stars, like yellow stars in the background. And what some historians think is that that's actually like bombs going off in the background, because in that part of Henri Matisse's life is during World War II. It's during Nazi-occupied France. And so you hear the French speaker that you hear happening during that part of the show is Charles de Gaulle, the prime minister. I think he was the prime minister and like general of the military. It's a very famous, it's a very, very famous speech called "To All Free Frenchmen," basically calling on the French population to not give in to the Nazi occupation. So that whole part of the show was just like wartime. So that got us into like the emotions of what we're supposed to be feeling in that part. The drum book is so cool. It's so unorthodox. Before, it used to be like so much harder what they were doing. And there used to be a lot more sounds. There used to be like an M1 Grand going off and like you could hear tanks rolling. But then they like, that was like early like training or like off season, but they got rid of that. But the battery is supposed to like emulate like war sounds, like machine gun. From what I understand, it's supposed to like get that feeling. And so that's how that part was explained to us. And before, like building into that tower set, the way it was like staged up was like, it's like militaristic marching. You're literally just like marching back and forth, and then maybe you're going towards the tower and then you turn back. Like you literally do like a whole 180, then go back maybe a little bit farther, then turn back, and then start building. So like it starts building like layers and layers until you actually get to the tower set.
And then everyone has their own individual like body responsibility, it looks like, or at least there's like layers between lines. Sitting up top, sitting right down the middle on the 50, watching that whole moment come together and watching it happen over and over again just blew my mind. Like just it was just, it's like any never seen anything like it, and I just want to tell everybody about it. Everyone's like, oh yeah, the closer, whatever, all the parts, it's great, but like that right there was so cool to me because it's so unique, you know?
Yeah, and the body that we were doing was characterized to us like two-dimension figures starting to come to life and entering the 3D world. So that was, dude, I'm with you. That part of the show was my favorite part of the show, and I didn't even play a note. I love that part.
Like
of the show.
No one plays. It's a complete like transitional part, but it's like I was just like in love with that the whole ever since I saw it, in love.
Previous shows that I've had in parts that like that was my favorite part of the show. Like even if I rehearsed it, I was like just going through the motion. Like every time that I got to do that chunk, I took advantage of it because I knew I only had a finite amount of reps left on it. So I took advantage of every part. I love that part so much. I rewatch it all the time. It's my favorite part by far.
I loved watching it again
so well
last
done.
night. I was like, bro, I needed.
It was so well done.
So well crafted, the moment, how it all comes together, how it's happening in the moment, towards the end, how everyone starts to come back together, and like their, visual responsibilities sound like a judge, and like with the way everyone comes back together, and then it's all like unison at the end, and then just the power, bro. It's just so powerful. Like that's what makes it so unique, because while it's all happening, it's just you can feel the power, the energy, the intensity. It's all coming off the field. I could feel it up in the box, and I was just like, that right there, people need to know about that. People need to like key in on that, because it's like I've never seen anything like it.
If
Incredible.
only like Cavaliers, like percussion didn't just come out of RKO out of nowhere. Like our drum line would have won a Sanford. They were so good. They were so talented, and on top of that, just like great people. Cavaliers out of nowhere with a crazy battery and also had a crazy book. So yeah, it was a fun summer for competition.
Crazy. Something I want to ask about that tour, talked about in the Crown tour, kind of how for you at least, and kind of within the core, like really harping in on scores, how can we like, you know what I'm saying, level up in our score. We have a standard, all of this stuff, getting to Blue Devils now, who are just coming off a championship, all of this, that, and the third. You could say anything. It's the Blue Devils. Everyone understands the deal. What is the mindset in comparison to a Crown tour when you're on this last summer's tour?
there was definitely pressure to win a championship again. Obviously, it's BD. Like,
Duh.
BD's expected to win championships.
You're going for 21? Like what?
And on top of that was that BD, we said that they had a curse in their history because they had not been able to three-peat in their history. So like that was another accolade that we were going for. That was the standard. We would look at scores, but I feel like we didn't let it ruin how we felt.
You guys thought big picture. You know what I'm saying?
They would always say like, play to the whistle, play to the finish line. Like, that's what my caption is on Instagram. It was like whistle blown, play to the whistle. There was you said something in the last episode. You were saying, it just seems like BD at this point is competing with themselves. And you literally hit, like, you were so correct. That was our motto. Like, let's be real. There's competition in drum corps. You're going to say, like, 100%. I hate, like, you're going to talk trash about another corps, another whatnot. And so we finally got to tour.
It's good fun at the end of the day. I think it's just competitive spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't think it's
of course.
We're actually like to tear anyone down, because I think that's just a part of like competing. You know what I'm saying? If it's in you and you're like a competitor in any sort of whatever, you talk a little trash. You know what I'm saying? Especially for like when you're with a group, with an organization, you're like, nah, bro, it's us.
Yeah.
You know? So
like our horn sergeant brought us together at the beginning of the tour. And he was just like, I'm going to be real with you guys. Like, I don't want to hear anyone harping on other corps. It shouldn't be that way. We 100%. Should only be worried about ourselves. If you're going to harp on a corps, harp on us. Harp on the Blue Devils. Say that you hate Blue Devils. Say everything you want to say about the other corps. Say it about us. And so that was our hype. Was after the show, we would talk shit about ourselves, And then we'd watch the run through on the bus. Yeah. And our horn sergeant would tell us, he was like, these people think that they're Blue Devils. How dare they think they're good enough to beat the Blue Devils, You're going to beat them tomorrow and like every day for the rest of the summer. Yeah. So it was really competition against ourselves.
Yeah, that's so cool, honestly, because it's just like Austin was talking about, where it's just like, people trying to talk about rivals and talking shit on other corps, and it's just like, that should be the mindset anywhere, honestly. That mindset, and for the member to have that mindset, like, that is so huge, because I think people from the outside, I think it's so cool that you mentioned that, because I think people from the outside, especially through when I marched, like we talked about how, you look at the Blue Devils and you're just like, they just move different. They're just so different. And then some people can get jealous of that and be like, man, they're just a bunch of arrogant assholes because they win every year and the scores get boosted and all that. And it's like, no, dude, they're just like you. They're trying to get better every single day, work on their craft. I want to talk about something real quick while I'm on this train of thought. What makes BD? What is the formula for, how does it happen? What's the formula for success? What makes it such a culture that is just like, what is it? Are people just coming in and it's just like, we understand what the job is, like no one's flubbing down the lines, all of this stuff? Or is there a culture established? What is it?
I think it's a bit of both, like people coming in knowing what's need to be done and the culture that's already built there. The staff confidence in the member is something that I've never experienced in my drum corps career. I've never had a staff believe in a group the way they believed in us this past summer, no matter what. They would always tell us how incredible we are and how great we are and how proud we should be. And on top of that, I never ever heard the staff talk about a championship or a caption award or whatnot. They never brought it up.
That's so sick.
And
that's so sick.
It was just like a great culture. Like I said, the belief they had in the members. I had never had a staff believe in me harder than the way the staff at the Blue Devils believed in me. One thing that they do that I admire so much is that they learn every single member's name on the field. Every single member's, because they don't want you to be a dot or just T25, awesome. T24, T17. They want you to be Joey. They want you to be you. They want to know who you are. So in February, the entire staff already knew my name and they believed in me, and they pushed me. Also, the amount of sleep we get also probably helps. and the amount of free days we get.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the obvious. Talk about the obvious.
Sleep, all the free days we get. Get this, every stop is a buy stop.
That's so fucked up.
That's so foreign to other groups. I couldn't believe that. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, well, you guys don't understand, bro.
Now that I think about it, I was like, why isn't every drum corps just every stop is a buy stop? Because the way we did it was we have 20 minutes to get your ass on the bus. If you're on the bus, we're going to leave you.
And like I think maybe most cores are worried about the logistics. Maybe it might get packed or whatnot. But if you have a buy stop every stop, everyone's gonna have all the stuff they need by the end of the season. They're not gonna.
They're not gonna buy every single stop. So if you just like, you know what I mean? They're not. No.
And we experienced a little bit about the water breaks at BK, where it was like we literally just like walk to water breaks.
Yeah.
And, like we were used.
That was
to,
so
like,
weird
running.
to me when they told us like we could walk. That was so weird to me.
We did that at BD. It was like walk to water breaks and then just like sit there for like 5 minutes for so long. Dude, let me tell you, like when we were staging the show, because every single part of the show was staged. There's no dots. Every single part is staged. There were days where like the trumpets, we would literally just like sit for like an hour and a half, 2 hours doing nothing. We're just playing like rock, paper, and scissors or something just to keep us entertained.
And they kind of just like, because I remember like in 19, kind of how that opener was created was kind of just like, you got 3 hard dots, but we're going to like stage the rest of this. How does that kind of get formed for a BD show? Is it all just like, we kind of want you in this spot, in this general count structure, and then we're going to move on to this next project?
Basically. It was basically like that. There were some moments where we had hard dots. They trained us so hard to be able to use our eyes and guide. Dude, we had so many things that were scrapped. The show that we had at the beginning of the year was not the same we had at the end of the year. A lot of forms changed, and it was just like they would kind of like set a form, like move bodies. They're like, all right, you go here, you go here, and then the next set they would like start moving people, set the picture, see if they like the picture, and they're like, all right, see if you can get here in 8 counts. And they're like, you'd march there, and then if they're like bad pathways, crossing pathways, like stuff that doesn't look good, they're like, okay, you 2 switch spots, now try. And then it was just like a working puzzle the entire summer.
At Crown, was it dots like just everywhere?
Very strict dot based. Like
very strict dot based?
Yes.
So in your opinion, what flows better? I mean, this could just be a personal thing too. I think everybody could have their own personal preference on this. But for you, having both of those experiences, which do you prefer? And which feels better?
Do I really need to answer?
I think, obvious questions here.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sorry.
You never know.
I'll answer it.
No, because I mean, hey, some people honestly be like, I'm on my dot, like I'm doing the dot. Like it's so much like, some people be like, it's so much easier because it's just like they know exactly where they're going. It's all there for them. All the information's there, and it takes a lot more like mental focus and to understand count structure, where you're going, how you're getting there, all of that stuff.
I have respect for both programs. To me, the whole staging thing that we did at BD just works better for me. But the thing is that BD is really the only group that did that, because at BK we did that, but like
loose.
Remember, we had like dot sheets at the beginning, but eventually
100%.
we would get rid of the dot sheets, and then like we would just like use our memory, or like we're just like set up the show, and then we would just go to that area and then kind of set it. I think that ultimately works better, because I think not everybody reads the field the exact same way, Like
that's just a little nerdy.
It's gonna be like
me.
decimal. It's gonna be like so like minute, small details, like the way you're probably like perceiving the field. So I think just the way BD does it, just like it was so much easier and like so much more fun too,
Yeah. So it's got to be so much more like free flowing for you guys. Just like so much like opportunity for creativity, so much opportunity for individuality, just to be yourselves. It always feels like when you have those individual body moments, it just seems like, is it talk to you about like having this upper body that just making yourself bigger than you are? Just like, it feels like that's really like pushed in there, where it's like, make yourself like larger than life when you're doing these things.
Basically, yeah. They're just like exaggerate they're like, if you had a movement, they're like, okay, exaggerate it more. And then we'd clean it. They're just like, be bigger,
Yeah. It always seems like you're just being bigger. That's the thing for me.
Also, what helps is that our horn angles are pointed at the box the entire time. We did that at BK too. I feel like that works so much better for like upper body presence, but yeah.
100%. Rounding out, getting to the end of this past season, when did you guys know that you kind of had in the bag, or did you never know? Was there a moment where you were like, hey, we're riding this thing out? Or I think we kind of already talked about it. Was it just like, we're going to the finish line, and if we get there and we're in first, like, great?
Me personally, I wasn't thinking about winning like the entire summer. It was on my mind, but I knew it wasn't going to be handed to me. Like, we had to earn it, because a lot of people think it's handed to BD. It's really not. And so I would like meet up with friends, or they're like, we're like not even San Antonio, like, dude, congrats, like you're gonna get a ring. And I'm like, bro, I haven't even got to San Antonio yet. Like,
what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Gilbert, the trumpet tech that I was telling you about at Crown, I got to meet up with him, and he was telling me how proud he was of me and whatnot. And he was so happy to see where I was. And he told me, he was just like, and you're also going to get a ring for your age out. And I was like, Gilbert, we're in Houston right now. Like,
got plenty of shows.
And I was like, anything could happen. And he was just like, keep that with you. That just shows you like the kind of character that you are. I think when I first realized we have it in the bag was the first rehearsal in the Colts facility. It was getting a little close leading up into that. It was like the first time people were within a point of us, like Boston or Bluecoats and Crown. The moment we stepped onto that Colts facility, it was like magical. It's like walking in was like so surreal because you see like all the old Blue Devil videos and like GoPros of like what happened. And on top of that, it's just like a cool facility. It's an NFL facility. I remember like I sent it to you. You're
like
just
the
like
banners. I was like, take a picture.
You're like, you'll send the AFC finalist banner from 2014.
Yeah, you just see everybody who's done it before, and you're in that facility, and you're just like, I am creating the next legacy for the next person to watch to come in here the next time.
That staff would talk about, they're like, no one does finals week like the Blue Devils. And I don't know what it is. I knew we were good before that, but everything just came together so much more when we got into the facility. Like, I felt the Blue Devils of magic that they were talking about. And I was just like, wow, it's really a real thing. It was like, we're running the part where we're literally like running around in circles in the closer. That's when like I realized, I was like, dude, we're on fire right now. And I texted my friend that I kept telling, I was like, he would be like, you better win. I'm like, don't give me that stress, please. I'm not worried about that. I text them, Josh, I'm calling it. Yeah, we got it.
We got it.
It was like, it was the Colts facility when I was like, yeah. That was since I had a bad solo on finals night. When I walked up the field, I was like, did we just lose?
Did I just lose the ship for us?
Dude, everybody was like crying. I personally thought the finals run wasn't the best of the 3 nights, but apparently like it really was. I felt like vertical alignment and stuff, like at least just like vertical alignment, like percussion, brass, battery, musical, like it didn't line up 100%. Like I felt like that on the field. So that's when I got off the field, I was like, did we just lose?
Something feels off.
Yeah.
So when you get to finals retreat and the scores start going through, and when you start getting to 5, 4, 3 is like, okay, who's at 3? Okay, cool, there's 3. When 2 gets called, when second place gets called, and it's I think it was Boston. So when it's Boston and they get called, oh fuck. See, there you go. I only cared about Joey. I was just like, he's gonna win a ring. So Blue gets called second place. When that happens, does the realization set in right away that you've just won DCI, or is it just like what's going through everyone's brain? What's going through your brain?
It was such an emotional moment with me. I was we were like all holding hands with each other. And next to me on my left was a really good friend of mine, Megan, who had come to BD with me from Crown. And she's like one of my best friends. I talk to her every day.
That's awesome.
It was such an emotional moment, you know. I couldn't believe it because it's something that I had dreamed of since I knew the activity. I was like, I have to be a world champion, you know. Yeah. I have to be a Blue Devil and I have to be a world champion, you know. And it was so surreal. Luckily I didn't like blank out. I remember it like everything pretty well, but like I was like so like in disbelief that like
that it was happening.
Yeah, that I forgot to like meet up with like a bunch of other friends and say hi to them because I was just like processing everything that just happened. Even now I think the realization hasn't hit. Like every night I go to bed, I see my age out certificate and my gold medal like in front of me, in front of my bed, and like I look at it and like sometimes it still doesn't feel real.
I performed a winning show, like it won DCI in 2023. Like
it was one of the higher scoring shows of all time, I think, too.
Yeah, I think it was like a top 5 scoring show.
Dude,
someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Not that I care about scores, but like it would be cool to get 99, you know. It was like 98.975. I was just like,
it was close. It was really close.
If my G wasn't so bad, we would have got a 99.
They might have gave you the .003. That's incredible. I've always wanted to know. I really haven't got to talk to anybody who's like just kind of get to understand the mindset of what's happening during that moment. It's just such a magical moment and everything. That's awesome. Something I want to ask to kind of round this all out, since you've aged out now, I've asked some people this question, and I think asking those people, they've kind of been out of the activity for at least a couple of years. So asking them this question, it's cool to hear theirs. But for you who just came off of the season, you're now done. You did 4 years in the activity. You just came off of winning a ring. I want to ask you, what do you think about the state of drum corps right now? There's been a lot of transition from even my rookie year, so much changing within the activity, and then COVID happens. We're wondering if this thing can survive because of just how it's all structured out. You know, we need fans to come to the shows for this thing to survive. It comes back. It's a little wonky at first. It's coming back. Now you had just done 22 and 23. What do you think of the state of drum corps right now?
I think it's heading in a good direction in terms of member experience. Like, I know you've been harping on that like the last 2 episodes. Like, member experience is getting so much better, I think. I know talking to my friends at Crown, like, things were way better this year for them, but I'm so glad because
That's
they
awesome.
deserve that. And so I think things are heading in the right direction. The only thing that I'm concerned about is just like the rising tuition prices. Like, it's ridiculous. Like how we were talking about earlier, how like they just like open class groups need to be put out there more. I think like the problem with open class right now is that it's like getting just as expensive as world class. Younger members or people who haven't done drum corps before, they're like, why would I pay $4,000 of tuition to do open class when I could pay just as much or even less for like
to
top
do world
12, you know?
Right.
It's just like rising. I don't really know how you like combat that. I know BD, the way their organization is set, like they're well off, you know? They have not just Blue Devils, they have Blue Devils B, Blue Devils C.
The alumni too from that corps.
Blue Devils, what else is there?
The entertainment one.
Blue Devils Independent or International, RCC, like they're a full on like
it's a corporation.
Corporation? Do I say corporation? I don't want to say corporation.
I don't know. It's like a baseball team. Like, there's just like
they're a big organization basically.
Yeah.
They're just a huge organization.
Not every organization has that benefit of having multiple outlets of income coming in. Also, like an alumni that really supports their drum corps, probably like helping them out. You know what I'm saying? There's only a select few groups that have that tradition in there with that alumni base that really supports and helps out. But I mean, for these other corps out there, I'm glad you said something about that, because it's something that scares me too, because it's something I see that so many people are like, this activity is becoming like very hard, not so as accessible as it was before, because it feels like with that money rising, it's like there's so many talented kids out there who won't be able to live that dream out because of the rise in dues.
I have a friend that talked about a couple ways to combat rising tuition. I don't know, you might know him on TikTok. His name is the Drum Corps Historian. He's talked about it a couple times. Maybe some people
I don't know, but go talk about it.
One of the things he talked about was just like, honestly, why do corps buy brand new instruments every single year? You could save so much money if you just reuse the same instruments, you know?
Because we dent the horns on finals night, because we don't give a shit. Everyone takes their horns. Say that.
I hope Chip or no one else in Blue Devils hears the story, but I don't know how. My horn, we use box treads. Like, I guess the bells were just like aluminum foil. Because like mine, like on the side, just had like so many dents like built up from the summer. And I had no idea how they got there. Like, I'd never banged it. I thought I took pretty good care. And one day we're just in the art. My section leader, Jack, was like, Joey, your horn is so dented. I'm like, I know. I'm going to add another. And I went, I kid you not, I went so light. I literally just went like, and like it dented so hard. I was like, how? So we just like stuck a drumstick in there and just like flattened it out. Yeah. I'm the reason why they buy instruments every year. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
You're the reason they didn't get 99 this year. Good job, Joey. Last question here. We've gone for 3 hours, over 3 hours now. This has been incredible. This has been such an awesome conversation. This has been great. Last little question here. And I think this would be a great time to ask this question, because you're now 2 months basically removed from your age out, 4 years in the activity, won a ring, 4 different groups, all of this experience. What does this activity mean to you in terms of what it's done throughout your life?
It means so much to me. I've learned so much about myself and like just how to like enjoy life because of the activity. Like my best friends I met from drum corps. I don't know where I'd be in my life without drum corps and music in general. A quick story: in 8th grade, I quit marching, or I quit band
I wasn't sure if I was going to do it in high school. My mom pushed me to do it, and my sister pushed me to do it. And I joined, and again, I didn't even get a spot. And I could have quit there, but I just kept doing. Yeah. And I'm so glad I never quit, because I don't know where I'd be in my life without that, you know?
I think that's just the theme for you. It's just like there were so many opportunities where the door was open, where it's like you could leave it or you couldn't. And I just think the resiliency to battle through every single roadblock and just be like, you know what? No, I'm just going to decide to be great today, and I'm going to be great. I'm going to work towards my goal. I think it's super inspiring for anyone out there who's trying to chase that dream. I mean, you get told in 2022, like, yeah, things you got to work on. I mean, you're almost at the age out, and it's just like, you know what? I can do that. I can work towards that. If I put in this work, if I put in the time to do it, the effort, everything, the dream can happen for anybody out there, you know? It's an inspiring story, bro. It's amazing. I was so proud to just watch you both seasons, 22 and 23, both years, just seeing you live out the dream, knowing how hard you worked for that. Yeah, loved it. Loved every second. Loved watching, loved being a fan. This has been episode 6 with my guy, Joey Teixeira here. Please go watch his GoPro. It was incredible show for BD23 this year. Thank you guys so much for tuning in every single week. The support has been crazy. Also, side note, 2 days ago was the 1 month anniversary of this podcast starting up. So cheers to us. We're over 50 subscribers, 50 podcast downloads. Listen, we're building slowly, but we're building. We're 1 month into this thing. It's been incredible. The reception's been great. Everyone who listens and supports, all the messages I've received from everybody who's been like, I listened to the show, I love it. Thank you guys so much. Please comment down below what you loved about the episode. Share with your friends, like, subscribe, share with everybody. This has been episode 6 of the Meet the Bus podcast, and we will see you next week. Peace out.